What is up, RotoGrinders? 2 hours nonstop MLB DFS conversation starting right now, taking y'all at the lock. Should say at the top, two different slates, right? FanDuel decided to include the two earlier games, not the 6-10 game. That's way too early. But you got to include Boston, Detroit, 640, East Coast, 645, St. Louis, and Philly, making FanDuel a 10-game slate. The DraftKings slate starts 7:10. 7:10 first pitch for DK. Gonna go ahead and drop Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth's weather report in chat as well. Nothing really, yellow in Atlanta, yellow-green in Chicago. Winds also blowing in. So not the best hitting conditions, but also one of the best hitting offenses and one of the worst pitchers for Miami. So that'll be an interesting little conundrum we'll talk about here for the next hour and change till crunch time comes in. You got Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth, and then Erik Beimfohr, as well as the CEO of the Bat and the Blitz. Behind the scenes, one of the best DFS players in all of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada, as well as producer extraordinaire. I'm sure TJ will be popping his head in. There he is, occasionally throughout the show. It is a Movie Monday. We'll drop that first clue as we welcome in Chop. You guys know Chop, two-time millionaire winner. Chop, how are things in your world? The first clue. We'll go ahead and get the first clue for Movie Monday out of the way. We'll drop that on the scroll, and it is Medieval. Medieval is the very first clue for today's Movie Monday. How are things, Chop? Everything all right?
Yeah, Dean, big night. Big night coming up here. We got some playoff basketball. Some series are going to be at stake. It's tough to go down 3-1 and make a comeback, so we'll see if those teams can answer the bell. We got the lottery starts here in a little bit. We got some MLB DFS, all kinds of good stuff, Dean. So, yeah, listen, it's been a rough day here in the household. We had some plumbing issues.
Oh, boy.
When you own your house, that's one of the things you got to deal with is, the extracurriculars that they don't tell you about that. They just tell you about the investment when you go to buy it.
That's not in the manual. It's not in the brochure.
Yeah, how much better it is to own instead of rent when you got a family. But when things start breaking down, it's a pain in the butt. So I had a lot of. Luckily though, I'm a semi handy man. I can do some things, and so I think I got a pretty good beat on the situation. Just just put it like that. I got a pretty good beat. I'm waiting on some supplies to arrive tomorrow, and we should be back in business. But until then, I'm gonna watch a little basketball, watch a little baseball tonight, and just generally have a little fun.
Like you said, the lottery, biggest night of the year if you're a Utah Jazz fan, biggest night of the year if you're a Washington Wizards fan or Charlotte. And somebody like TJ, who's a Raptors fan, they have a shot, chip in a chair, right, to get to what is expected to be one of the better drafts that we've had. I think it's happened before the game. Sometimes did it in halftime. I think I do that at 7 o'clock on the East Coast. Also for yourself, Chop, because Houston does own the draft rights for Phoenix. So, maybe you get like a 4% chance or so, right? But you're telling me there's a 4% chance to get yourself the number one pick there, which of course is massively coveted. Maybe we'll discuss this later. What do you got, TJ?
It's a big day, Dean. I need you to go over to the YouTube chat and take a look at it.
Okay, what's going on in the YouTube? But what? You hold on a second. You have poll privileges?
I now have poll privileges. We can make as many polls as we want.
Well, who do you hope wins the draft lottery? I will say none of those, by the way. We might be talking about that a little bit later. I have my reasons. We'll discuss it. You say Jazz, Wizards, Raptors. Of course, you're putting your Raptors in there. Or other. I will put other. And I'm sure Chop's going to vote other as well. Not to tell him where to vote, but I know where Chop's voting. Shout out to TJ, who's he's made it. He's made it in the world for sure. He's got poll privileges. As you're clicking on the poll, though, what you got to do is also hit the like button and subscribe. Turn on those notifications, do all those things, Chop. 10-game slate. Texas coming into the slate was the best offense as far as team total. It is of note. They're without Corey Seager, who got hurt yesterday, re-aggravated his hamstring, I believe. They're without their number one catcher in Jonah Heim. They're without Josh Smith. They're with Jake Berger. Burger Time's back, so get excited, who was demoted earlier in the season. A lot of cheapies, like Evan Carter, especially on FanDuel, where he's like 2-2 or so. Jock Peterson as well, who's, of course, sputtered throughout he's finally got off the schneid, as they say. He finally banged out a homer a few days ago. He's on the board. But, the offense to me does not look as appealing. Earlier in the day, I did see that Globe Life, where Texas plays baseball, they tweeted out that the roof is open. So I assume that has not changed. We are expecting the Globe Life field to be open today. Yes, as of 6 hours ago or so, roof is expected to be open there. Chop, your guess of A Knight's Tale. And come on, Chop, this isn't your first rodeo. I'm not putting the first clue in the actual title. You got to answer something. So I respect you playing the game.
Well, listen, this is going to be like the only time I get to answer because we get all busy, and so I don't really get a chance to later on.
You gotta get better at multitasking, I suppose. But
the way, Dean, by the way,
yeah,
remind me if we even have time or if we can even remember when Roth comes on later. I have a weather question for him.
Okay, yeah, I'll remember. And if I don't remember, I'm sure TJ will remember. I see people hanging out in the Discord channel. Yeah, you got to get in the live stream chat channel, rotogrinders.com/Discord live stream chat. That is where you give us your answer for Movie Monday. For the first person correct, you get yourself a week free of RotoGrinders Premium. That's not just for baseball. It's football, baseball, basketball, hockey, MMA, PGA, all the goods, all the bells, all the whistles, everything with the exception of NASCAR. And again, you get in there. It's a free channel. That'd be silly if it was not a free channel. So we have a few premium channels in the Discord, but most of them are free. Pulp Fiction was guest. Robin Hood Men in Tights. Tights. That was guest as well. Timeline. Monty Python and the Holy Grail. It's not the Cable Guy or Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, but a lot of guesses coming on through. One guess per clue drop. You can MME in DFS. You cannot MME in the Discord. One guess per clue drop. Chop, give me your thought process as far as the slate tonight. I read what you wrote in the survey today. I know you were talking about some Texas stuff. You're talking about the most popular pitcher, and I think I'm going to be on board as well. Pitching is not especially deep. We do have Paul Skeens, tough matchup there in New York. Pretty good weather considering historically. It's just a 7 total, obviously, but that ballpark plays, in favor of pitchers, but it is a little bit better than it typically has been. But not a lot of depth. We have a live, pitcher throwing baseballs against terrible teams in Colin Ray against the Marlins. Good weather. And Michael Wacha against your Astros, which is kind of sort of somewhat interesting. And then Tyler Mahle, who's been playing out of his mind, who's due for some regression, taking on those horrific Rockies. I don't know if this is what he gets it. Look, his ERA in the season is something really goofy. It's like 1.3 or something like that. But 1.48. But that's backed up by an 89% left on base, which is going to go, that has to change. A BABIP of 214, that has to change. 9% walk rate. He's been very lucky this year. Is 4.4, but maybe not tonight. Colorado's not the kind of team that capitalizes. They did just fire their manager because it's all Bud Black's fault that the Rockies are terrible. Now they're going to turn things around. It's not because their players are horrific and they don't spend any money on free agents. Chop, your overview. How do we see this slate?
I don't know. I was a little bit struggling with pitching outside of a few options. So, I think pitching is pretty condensed. And I think the same can be said for hitting too, on the opposite end of that spectrum over there. Pitching, hitting over here. I see a few offenses I really like and a lot of them that are just very, very meh to me. So I'm not, I'm pretty, I haven't built a lineup yet, but I'm pretty locked into I kind of know what I'm going to do. I'm staying with these offenses over here and picking players from a certain few offenses, and my pitchers, I got to pick 2 of them on DraftKings, and those 2 pitchers will come from a pool of about 5 guys at the most. I mean, that's at the most, and that's being lenient because of matchups. You're on mute.
Can I guess those 5 guys?
Sure, go for it, man.
I think it's King, Skeens. Yeah, those are obvious ones, right?
King is in there. Skeens is not a guy I want to play tonight.
Not so. So here's the thing.
DFS, you know what I mean? Like, he's obviously the guy I would take over any pitcher in baseball to start my franchise right now. But tonight, not so much because of the Mets.
So I'm kind of on board with that thought process. And like the K's haven't quite been there this season. If you look at the season-long stuff, we're talking about 14.7% strikeouts, which is not bad, but it's a significant drop from last year. He is tied for the second highest swinging strike rate, 12.5%. It's a good ballpark. It's playing a little bit more positive than it is historically. It's a tough matchup. The counterpoint to not roster, I might roster him because it's very easy to find the money. It's just very easy to find the money. It's not hard. There's not a lot of stuff I want to spend on. There's a lot of good cheap stuff out there. And then if you don't roster Skeens, all of a sudden I'm rostering Grant Holmes or Colin Ray or David Peterson or Tyler Mahle. A couple of the guys, Michael Wacha against your Astros, although he's kind of a neutral reverse, so maybe a bunch of righties isn't necessarily positive for him. I still am not believing Justin Verlander is great. He's in a protected by that home ballpark, obviously, but the counterpoint is I don't really need a 10 strikeout game from Skeens to be happy. I'm curious now. Let's play the game. I have 1X on the board, right? We're talking DK, so we're not including the FanDuel pitchers just right now.
Correct.
We can discuss them in a second. Christopher Sanchez, pretty good. Libator, pretty good. I like what Libator has done this season. I think he's an excellent pitcher. Was taking a nice big step forward in a left on left, the two best lefties over there. So I kind of like him on FanDuel, but again, that's not on the DK slate. And Sanchez, of course, I think is rosterable as well on FanDuel, where you only get one. But if you want to save the salary chop, is it just Colin Ray? Great weather, and he's facing the terrible Marlins, and that's that. Move on.
He is on my board, yes.
Somebody in chat, by the way, asked, they're talking about the weather in Chicago. Yeah, weather edge. Another thing you would get with RG Premium. In 105 previous games, it's a pretty big, pretty healthy sample size. I like that sample size. The temp is 59. The wind is coming in at dead center, 9 miles per hour. 46 is the dew. In those previous 105 games, Chop, we've seen homers decrease by 27.8%, runs decrease by 10.5%. So the ballpark is playing more pitcher-friendly, although the Cubs are really good at offense, and Cal Eldred's really bad at throwing baseballs. Cal Eldred, how old is Cal Eldred? Like 50, 55? Cal Quantrill. It might as well be Cal Eldred. Remember him, Chop, back in the day? Cal Eldred?
Yeah, he's on my list tonight.
I don't think he's on your list. I don't think he's in your top 5. He actually might outscore Cal Quantrill tonight. That's possible. That wouldn't surprise me. 0 is greater than -4. Yeah, so it's not the best environment tonight for Chicago, but we've seen them overcome that before. So we have let's see, we have King, we have Ray. I just feel squeamish paying 9.2 for Mahle, but like he's been really good on the surface. It just feels like an overspend. I know the Rockies are terrible. Is Mahle somebody you're willing to pay for? I'm gonna say Grant Holmes first. I'm gonna say Grant Holmes is one of those 5.
Grant Holmes is on the list, of course.
Okay.
I don't mind Grant Holmes. I mean, we're struggling for pitching tonight, so some of these you got to make some concessions.
His issue is walks. Biggest walk rate on the slate, 12.3%. That is concerning, but the K's been good at 24.5%. Also, just want to keep an eye on that weather there. We know Atlanta, they have the pop-ups. Roth will be on in about an hour or so, give you some clarity. But last we saw we have a yellow for Roth. This lineup for Washington, pretty contact heavy, right? 20.8%, dating back to last season, striking out versus righties. So, I think Holmes is fine. The price is okay. But this is kind of where I'm like, well, maybe I'll just play Skeens and hopefully the Mets don't hammer him and nothing else. If he gives up a few runs, he should strike out 7-ish, maybe. So, okay, there's 2 left. Is Tyler Mahle one of those 2?
Yeah, my guy. I don't mind. Like you just said it with Skeens, and the salary kind of doesn't matter. So yeah, we're paying up. It seems like an egregious price on a normal slate for him, but kind of doesn't matter tonight. And then you run the numbers on the Colorado offense.
It's bad,
and not just like it's bad. It's terrible. Like there's a lot of high strikeout guys in there. There's not very much power at all in there, and you're taking them out of Coors Field. So, and generally, game log watching isn't really the thing in DFS, Major League Baseball. But if you were just game logging it, his numbers aren't great, but some of the stuff he's done this year is just as good as Skeens. Like, believe it, like Skeens can get run out of that game in 5 innings too, and not be very efficient. And so, I want to put Molly on my list. Although, I am having second thoughts on maybe excluding Skeens so much. He might be in play tonight.
So ran the numbers here on Colorado as far as away from Coors. I know somebody in chat's talking about the splits of, well, once a coach gets fired, manager gets fired, that's going to motivate the team that's going to fire him up. Am I wrong in saying that Bud Black was fired on Saturday? Maybe it was Sunday. But do you really think all of a sudden they're going to become like the second worst offense in baseball? Is that going to be the boost? I don't know. So weighted runs created plus, you know what that means in case people are unaware. WRC plus, it is a stat that basically, if you're at 100, that means you're league average. If you're at 110, that means you're 10% better than the league. If you're at 80, 20% worse than the league, right? What are the Rockies collectively WRC plus on the road?
I mean, the way you're framing it, it's got to be pretty. It's either pretty bad or surprisingly good.
No.
So let's give them a 75.
Derek in chat saying 45. TJ saying 56. Mr. Richard saying 66. If we were playing Price is Right rules, Derek would win 45 because he did not go over. They are a 51. The next worst team is Pittsburgh at 70. The gap from 1 to 2 as far as the worst team is 19 points. They've been bad. I wonder how much it would change things if I hit active roster. Would that really change things? It actually would. To be fair, there's 65 as far as the active roster. Still the worst. They got rid of some of their nonsense, I guess, but also very bad. Again, the Molly thing is that he's been super lucky, but maybe this isn't the time where it slows down. I wish he was cheaper, but at the same time, it's really, I'm not having a hard time finding salary. Are you having a hard time finding salary, Chop? Because, certainly you can't just get Tatis and Judge and all those guys, but
I mean,
Texas has some cheapies to help you out if that's what you want.
You're the one who said there was no issue with salary, and that's why you could get behind Skeens. Now, here's where, it always throws me for a loop. Like, Colorado tonight against Maile is, per Vegas implied team totals, a full half a run lower than the New York Mets against Paul Skeens. That's like a big, huge flag right there, one where red or green, depending on which pitcher you're looking at, but half a run lower for, the Maile opponent than the Skeens opponent screams to me that, he's just as good tonight. And so I'm not really worried about the salary.
But certainly you believe Skeens is better. It's just, I understand the matchup.
I mean, I cannot emphasize this any more than I've said it on multiple shows, Dean. The New York Mets are no joke. They are, if somebody's going to take down the Dodgers and, maybe there's some good teams in the National League. They have got they have got just as good of a chance to win the pennant in that league as anybody else. That offense.
The pitching staff's been great.
Yeah, and they're going to get better. But the offense is really good. I mean, it's funny how you take a guy and put him in the top of the order and he can sit there and take pictures and draw walks and hit for power and do all this stuff. So, and he's only 27. Funny how you add that to a lineup that's already pretty good and it makes it really good, almost impossible. It's not a fluke that he's won a World Series already, and he got the deadbeat New York Yankees to a World Series too. Somehow drug those guys in there. So, yeah, he's good, man. It makes the offense good. I don't ever really want to pick on that. It's got to be some serious circumstances to pick on that. So that's why I lean towards Maile over him. Yeah,
collectively 22% as far as strikeouts. Alvarez will strike out, Beatty will strike out. He came alive over the weekend with some power for what it's worth. But yeah, and it's like McNeil's kind of annoying. He doesn't strike out. You mentioned Soto, good contact hitter, 16% walk rate, dating back to last season versus righties. I know it's not necessarily what you want when you roster him, but when he gets those 8-pitch at bats, walk, that really hits the pitcher. That really hurts a guy like Skeens. I know Skeens, they really let him go this season. Last I saw, he's like top 3, top 4 as far as pitches thrown per game. So Pittsburgh has this whatever sort of harness they had him on in the past.
And I also want to throw in for Juan Soto. He has the cleanest autograph in the sports collecting industry.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, it's so he takes his time. He's good. He's good people.
Do you have it?
Yes. A few years ago, I said, man, this kid's the real deal, man. I'm gonna get a bunch of Juan Soto stuff.
Are you still doing the eBay thing? Is that still something you're? Is that something you're doing?
I got stuff out there listed. If somebody wants to tell you, I'm not like I get emails all the time. People trying to barter with me or trying to negotiate. I'm not negotiating. You either buy it at my price now or I wait for the market to go back up. It's no big deal. So they're out there. Sometimes, it's a fluid market. So, but yeah, Soto's Soto stuff and some of the other stuff I have is like Mike Trout, Pat Mahomes. That's personal stuff that I'm not getting rid of till they hit the Hall of Fame. But
who's got the worst signature? Who's like the worst at it?
God, I don't even know.
Stands out to you?
No, right offhand, no. Probably some basketball player. They're not very good at it, but Soto's just clean, man.
Yeah. Generally good experiences on eBay. I used to, like years ago, I used to buy like music stuff on there, but I don't think I've ever bought an autograph before. But for the most part, no issues, Chop?
No, I have no issues. I have no. You got to be selective, man. I do this with anything. I do this with Amazon shopping or anything. Like you look at the reviews, look at the ratings, and don't just look at the ratings as.
I don't know if I ever believe them though, because they could be.
No, well, that's the thing. Yeah. You got it. The totality. I don't need to buy something with 100% positive reviews if there's only 10 people that's reviewed it. I need a lot of reviews. I don't even look at I don't look at anything in the middle. I look at positive. I mean, the highest one 5-star and the lowest one 1-star. What's the connection there? How much does it outweigh each other? There's all kinds of things, but that's the same thing with eBay. You don't go buy it from somebody with bad reviews, and you don't sell to people with poor reviews, because then those are the people who are trying to scam you too and say they didn't get their stuff. So yeah, you gotta be careful. Can't just jump the gun on any of it these days.
Last thing, as far as the card market, Chop, I remember like 5 years ago, and this is like something I'm not nearly as versed in it as you are. I was when I was younger. But you remember when the alien, the Martian, Jason Dominguez, when he was 16 years old, his like minor league card was like massive, and he's been kind of like took a while to get there. But maybe we finally saw the arrival of the Martian, Jason Dominguez. Do you know what card I'm talking about that was worth thousands and thousands of dollars?
Yes,
like 4 or 5 years ago, but he was 16. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you gotta hold on to those kind of. If the market is super high and it's at its peak, sure, sell it. Otherwise, hang on to it for until he hits his prime, and then if it's going to be good, it's going to. I mean, listen, you know what I got burnt on? I don't know. We're getting sidetracked, but two guys, and I've generally been really good at sports card collecting, and then reselling or keeping for my own part. Two guys, they got me. Number one, Chris Paul. I spent a lot of money on a Chris Paul one time. Now, if I told you how much, you'd be very disappointed in me. But it was right before I thought he was going to win the championship there a couple of years ago.
The Clippers?
Phoenix. No, with Phoenix when they got to the finals that year. And I tried to get it on the market, and the guy over there they got the show on Netflix now. What is that? The chat knows. They got a Netflix show.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, about they do auctions. They're the big auction people, and the guy screwed me, man, because I said I wanted the card up on auction. I wanted the card up on auction like when he's in the finals and he has a chance to win this thing. And this guy waited till like 2 weeks after. Yeah, golden auctions. Like the guy screwed me, okay, but I got burnt on that Chris Paul. And then from a personal standpoint, a guy who I was going to collect and hang on to, spent a lot of money on him. But boy, you talk about the cards in the gutter now. Deshaun Watson, brother, that was a bad move. Didn't see that happening.
Oh yeah, that's not I imagine that's not tough to unload these days. I would imagine, as far as the Watson shares. Oh, we did drop the second clue. Second clue is scrolling. Producer TJ all over Ride. Ride is the second clue for today's Louis Monday. I see some guesses coming in here in the Discord. I don't believe we have a winner just yet, so we will be dropping a third clue in about 10 minutes or so. We're talking about, the best pitcher on the board here pretty clearly is Michael King taking on the Angels. 47% is the ownership on DK. I will be over that. I don't make a ton of lineups. He'll be in every lineup I make, Chop. There's not a lot of great arms to love tonight. The Angels not a team I'm particularly afraid of. So I'm just going to play King. You talk about, team totals. They tell you so much, right? But the Angels team total, you mentioned Trout. There's no Trout, of course. They're below 3. Their team total's at 2.81 if you want to get all tactical right now. It is not good. And it sounds like King, you're leaning in on it. You're going to be over 50% as well. I'm just going to play him. And, whatever. If you don't want to have him, by all means, I get it. You're playing some ownership games. I'm not playing the game. I think I'm going to lock him. Don't hold me to it, but that's the plan.
Yeah, King is pretty much an easy. It'd be hard pressed right now to say that King isn't one of my first pitcher in there for sure. I think so. So we got King, Maley, Grant Holmes, Ray, and I might have, I got another guy that I feel good about, and then another guy that's a long shot GPP. I don't think I'm going to play him because I don't need that kind of player tonight but so there's one more guy out there that I feel relatively decent about tonight.
Do you have a Gusto take? Is that what you're going to give me? A Gusto
That was the
take?
GPP guy. That was the GPP guy. He's not bad. Like,
I don't know. I have no opinion. I just don't know.
He's got some stuff, and he can strike guys out. And this is mainly said it like a lot this year so far that Kansas City's offense just does not impress me very much at all. There's no thump in there. If you take away Bobby Witt, if somehow you can get around Bobby Witt in that lineup, you got a good shot. He strikes guys out. Almost, it's early, small sample on his career, but close to 25%. That's not bad at all. Of course, we don't need a ton of money tonight, so that's what's kind of maybe taking him out of play. But I think there's a chance there with I forget who he's subbing in for tonight. Somebody's hurt and sitting out, but as long as he's in there, I think he's got potential. So he's a GPP.
Really contact heavy lineup for Kansas City. That's the only thing I would kind of pump the brakes on. 19% is the collective. So it's just Biggio and Waters who are kind of on the back end, so you probably only get those guys twice. But you're right. Like Kansas City's offense is mostly disappoints, it seems like. It's Witt and a bunch of dudes. Perez still has a lot of power, still swings hard. Garcia's taken some advances this year. Guinea P, it is what is the it's Monday, so it's what's the Italian food of
Manicotti Monday?
Manicotti Monday. There you go. I don't know if that does anything for us, but that's okay. I think he's in the pool as well, but I don't know what to do with it. I'm probably not going to play him, and I probably don't need the salary savings. There's another guy you said. Who was the other? I would also say for FanDuel. I don't know if you're playing on FanDuel tonight. Sanchez has been very good tonight. On the season, lowest Sierra on the entire slate if you include all the games. Also the highest K rate at 28%. So I think Sanchez has got to be somebody that's in your FanDuel pool. I talk about Libotor, just a tough pitcher, strike thrower. He's got a walk rate under 4%. The two best hitters for Philly, left on left. I'm not saying you can't play Philly. I'm not saying like Libotor is this lock, but one time, big time prospect. We used to pick on him because he was bad coming out the gate, but he's figuring stuff out. Your thoughts on those guys and thoughts on you said you have one more potentially in the chamber as far as your 5 guys.
Yeah, those FanDuel guys. They're just adding a few pitchers. Sanchez is probably the best one. And if I was playing on FanDuel, I probably wouldn't play him over King. But let's say those guys were all on the DraftKings and you had 2 pitchers. I think Sanchez would be a guy that would probably make the cut for me. But the last guy on DraftKings that I'm thinking about here is Clark Schmidt. And this is a play on Seattle at home in that big cavernous ballpark where they're not as good, where nobody's as good, and pitchers, can thrive there. And he can strike out guys at over a 25% clip. And I look at the lineup posted tonight for Seattle, and there's more guys in that lineup that are high strikeout guys than there are high power guys. So I'm always going to tend to lean on what that lineup looks like against you, and can you strike guys out? And he has both of those to his benefit tonight.
Yeah, sure. I'm not going to argue with you. For tournaments, you want to throw him in the tournament bucket, by all means. And I love that ballpark as well. And I know Seattle's offense has taken some steps this season, but I think by the end of the season, they're going to fall back a little bit because in part that ballpark, we do have some umpire stuff. And I always kind of warn this when new series starts, sometimes this stuff changes, but this is kind of where we're at. Every once in a while, they kind of shuffle it up. Probably O'Neal Cruz is playing baseball tonight. I know he left the game the other day, I guess for precautionary reasons. Tommy Pham is not. He got suspended. I don't think this is fantasy football related in any way, just a different suspension for something else. So we have a couple extremes. We have an extreme hitters umpire. How about this, Chop? Extreme hitters umpire for Paul Skeens, for David Peterson, for Hancock, and for Clark Schmitz. That's the only extremes we have right now. Not all of it is locked in just yet. Just put that in the back of your pocket if you need like a tiebreaker of some sort. And I do think the Mets are kind of interesting, a little bit interesting, maybe as like a mini, because just nobody's going to play them. And it's kind of a small slate. And also, I don't think there's many obvious offenses that are just going to like go off tonight. We'll have that conversation in a second. Chop, anything else you want to say as far as pitching before we talk about our tiers?
Moving on, let's go.
Your second guess of National Lampoon's Vacation is incorrect, but it's respect the guess. It is not National Lampoon's Vacation, but I see what you're doing there. Taking a peek and see what's going on in the Discord channel. Somebody else guessed The Knight's Tale, Seven Samurai, Dungeons and Dragons, Zero, Gone in 60 Seconds, Joyride. I see what everybody's doing there. I see what you're doing. I respect your game, but all those guesses are incorrect. But maybe, Chop, the third clue will change some things. The third clue is now going to be scrolling in a second, and it is Island, Medieval, Ride, and Island. Those are your first three clues. Get your guesses in. Chop, our tiers today. So we had a discrepancy. We disagreed. I yielded. I let you make the board. I'll do a little counterpoint, but we kind of teased it earlier. Tell the people what today's tier board category is.
So it's draft lottery night. That's always somewhat exciting. See who might come out, especially when you got a big time prospect like Cooper Flagg in the mix. It's going to be interesting. So we just ranked out of all the lottery teams tonight, who would you most like to see get that number one pick and get a potentially generational player like Cooper Flagg? So that's what I ranked, and then you ranked, but we were way off on our board. So I just turned mine in, and you can counterpoint me there. But so it's lottery teams, just lottery teams tonight. Who would you most like to see? Similar to the poll question, but this is with every team out there. Who would you most like to see, and who is the teams you don't want to see win the lottery? That'd
be five, yeah, like 4 or 5, yeah.
So that's what we
basically.
Did
where do you want Flagg to go? Essentially, is the question, more or less.
Yeah, where do you want to see Flagg playing next year, and where do you not want to see him under no circumstances?
So Tango Hotel is saying Timberwolves. They don't have a pick, right?
So you got to be in the lottery.
You got to understand the rule. Yeah, I mean, the Timberwolves have a good chance to win the lottery as like the New York Giants. It's that's not they have a 0% chance. Unless some kind of weird trade happens. But as far as I know, they have no chance. But Chop, you of course have a dog in the fight.
Yeah.
But go ahead and tell the people, explain to the people why your board is what it is.
Okay, let's pull up the board then. I think that'd be a good idea if we can pull up the board. But I certainly went with the Phoenix pick to get the lottery, to win the lottery tonight, because Houston owns the Phoenix pick. So I'd love to see Cooper Flagg in a Houston uniform next year. That'd be phenomenal. So I went Phoenix number one. All right. So then a lot of this is about who do you not want to see? Where do you not want to see him go? And there's a lot of places I really don't want to see him go, because I do think he's an exceptional ball player and it could create some issues. But I don't, I kind of don't, there's a piece of me that says, let's get the white guy to Utah. Why not, man? Let's get, let's make Utah good again. The league was fun when Karl Malone and John Stockton were running things. The league was interesting, fun, man. So let's get Utah back on national TV. Cooper Flagg would do that. That's for sure. Toronto, I put number 3, neutral. I don't mind. Like, they're harmless pretty much. So if he lands there, that's fine. It'll create, at least it'll be in the Eastern Conference, and it'll create some buzz around Toronto. I don't want to see him in Philly. I just don't like Philly. Don't like the Sixers. Don't like the Eagles. Really don't like the Phillies. Philadelphia fan base. I've said it before. No offense to anybody. They're kind of scum. So I kind of don't want to.
But you're scum.
No offense, man. But I don't want to. I kind of don't want to see them have success at any of it. So let's keep them out of there, because that would make them good pretty quickly.
Oh,
and then
gosh.
San Antonio's pick and Atlanta. San Antonio actually owns Atlanta's pick, so they got double shot at the lottery tonight. So either one of those teams, I do not want to see those teams win because that's all San Antonio right there. You can't put Cooper Flag with Wembanyama and maybe even add, like, who knows what they're going to add. Maybe Giannis. God, that'd be ugly. Like, nobody would ever win again. Like, that'd be over with. So let's keep Cooper Flag away from San Antonio for sure.
All right. So, yeah, this is our discrepancy. My counterboard, I was fine if Houston wins. And I think if Houston wins via Phoenix, like, that'll really open the door for a Giannis to Houston situation. And like you said, if San Antonio happens to win, I think that instant title contender is fun, right? Why not have an instant title contender at Wemby playing alongside Flag and like the rookie of the year as well? So I like the idea of San Antonio. You want to reward Utah for the nonsense they did. Why do you want to reward bad behavior? The nonsense they pulled with the injury report. Now I understand the predicament they're in. This is what you have to do. I understand this, and no free agents are going to Utah. And they have not signed a free agent since like Carlos Boozer of relevance. So I understand all this, but I don't want to reward bad behavior. So I would have Utah at the bottom. Screw them. However, I would also put the Bulls at the bottom because in my mind, that's the Heat's pick. The Heat should not have won the in-game playing nonsense. And I want a 2% chance as opposed to a no percent chance and a 100% chance of getting swept and having the worst playoff appearance of all time, outside of maybe what Cleveland's doing right now in the second round. So a little bitter as far as my Heat. And then the Raptors. This is not even poking at producer TJ, who's a Raptors fan. They have 4 players: Scotty Barnes, Quickly, Ingram, RJ Barrett. 4 players locked in for like $700 million for the next 4 years. They've bought themselves mediocrity. He's gonna rot there. He's gonna waste there. There's no ceiling. That team stinks. Worst contracts, terrible GM, and again, another team that has
respectfully, Dean.
In what way, Dean?
It's not a good core. Your Barnes, Quickly, Ingram, and Barrett is not going anywhere.
On their own, that's not a good core. I promise you this much. I think very highly of Cooper Flag. I think he makes a team like that.
Put him in any team, and they're going to be better. No, but why put him on Toronto? It's wasting.
The oldest player in that core you just mentioned is 25 years old, Dean. How is that?
Yeah, and he peaked. Quickly ain't getting any better.
Why isn't Quickly getting any better? He's gotten better. He's not. He's been in the league.
This is it. Why would he? Why would he get better?
Because he's gotten better every year he's been in the league so far. And he's still 4 years away from his prime.
Congratulations, you bought yourself a reservation to the play-in game for the next 4 years. So I hope you're happy in Toronto. Nothing against Toronto.
You're crazy.
It's a terrible nucleus. Terrible. I would not want those. But
arguably one of the better,
for anybody else,
if not best, young cores in the NBA.
Have you heard of the Thunder? They're pretty good. They're pretty young too.
Yeah, that's why one of the best, not the number one best.
What about Wemby and Flag in about 6 hours? That's pretty good too.
So now we're comparing them to ones that don't exist. Got it.
So there you go. That's and I thought Dallas would be kind of funny just because all the conspiracy people would just go nuts. Like if somehow Dallas wins it, it's like, this was all part of the plan.
Speaking of conspiracy, yeah, that's a good point. But speaking of conspiracy, Dean, there's some conspiracy theorists out there that think that for sure, just like the Wembanyama thing, that San Antonio is going to get a little Cooper Flag action. Feel good story pop, the stroke and all that. Let's make San Antonio happy again or whatever. I don't know. There's some conspiracies out there, that's for sure.
By the way, I just want to update something. We changed our projection for the Pirates, and now the Pirates' actual lineup just came out, and Cruz is not in it. So, yeah, we put him in, but now we got to take him out because their lineup just dropped. It's Hayes, Reynolds, McCutchen, Bart, Gorski, IKF, Canario, Triolo, and Davis. Man, did we mention David Peterson? We probably should have mentioned David Peterson, like that ballpark and that lineup, and he throws baseballs for a living. So I'm perfectly fine with David Peterson. I'd throw him in the same bucket as like some of the other cheap SB2s. Decent chance to grab that win as well. Well, they're facing Paul Skeens, so maybe not. Maybe they get the win in the in extras, or not extras, but like in the 6th, 7th ace when Peterson is potentially gone. Chop, anything else, or shall we throw some teams in some tiers?
Let's start throwing. Throw out Yeah, let's start throwing. Island, I haven't get my last guess in.
Do you want a fourth clue? Let's drop a fourth clue for the people.
No. Let's do a couple teams first. I still got to guess. I got to guess my third clue.
We're not on your timeline. We're on the chats that time.
Yeah, but the fourth clue is when people start to really.
Yeah,
that's right. I don't want. I'd rather be the first one to get it right as opposed to somebody's seconds. Sloppy
where's
seconds.
The field? It's pretty tough.
Do you want to?
Oh, well, there you go. We've already got a winner. We got it.
There goes all the fun.
Well, we can go ahead and drop the fourth clue now. We're just playing for funsies, Chop. You didn't get the gold medal. Maybe you can get on the podium. The fourth clue happens to be recreation. Medieval, ride, island, and recreation. Do we want to throw the FanDuel teams on the board? Are you prepared for that? Because I know sometimes you pre-prepare. Okay. Do you have a take as far as Chop? You did get it correct. You did get the sloppy second. You got the silver medal.
Oh my God. You are correct. Are you serious?
Yeah, you're correct.
Oh,
you're correct.
I didn't. I promise you, I didn't look at the chat or whatever. But
I don't believe you did. I'll take your word for it. You're honest, man.
Ridiculous. Why couldn't I just
make a transaction?
You didn't do a clue before either. You should have just gave me another few seconds, Dean.
Well, I mean,
TJ had to pop in and announce. TJ had to pop in and announce that we had a winner. That makes me look shady here. That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, he's still upset about me scorching his Raptors. Old takes exposed. You're going to be showing this video next year when the Raptors are in the 7-hole for the Eastern Conference. So Boston, Detroit, and St. Louis and Philadelphia. Do you have a general take on that? I don't know if you're playing the FanDuel slate. Do you have any thoughts? Of course, crunch time when they come on. You got Derek Carty, you got Beimfohr, you have Roth. They're going to give some thoughts as far as the FanDuel slate, the DK slate as well, specifically. So they'll cover it. If we don't cover it, maybe we circle back if we have time. Otherwise, we can talk about Pittsburgh and the Mets. 7 total. David Peterson, Paul Skeens. Weather is playing a little bit better. Let's kind of it's still a 7 total, right? The ballpark still's pretty positive for pitching. But last I saw, let's see if something changed here. 14% bump in homers. 67 is the temp. The wind is blowing out basically to center field at 8 miles per hour. Not a huge meaningful difference. 0% as far as runs. So runs have not changed in those 59 games. You talked about not necessarily playing Skeens. Doesn't mean you have to attack them now. But the Mets are right there and a pretty good offense. The Pirates stink, and they're without their best hitter, and O'Neal Cruz. How do you have the Mets and the Pirates?
Yeah, so let me circle to FanDuel real quick for you. Yeah, I kind of looked at it earlier when I was doing the tags and seeing if there was anybody from those games. There wasn't a lot that jumped off anyway on offenses over there on FanDuel. So to be honest, if those games were included on FanDuel, or if I was playing on, if those games were included on DraftKings, or I was playing on FanDuel, which I'm not, I probably wouldn't be looking to I think Castellanos is an interesting play, just the lefty thing. He's typically been pretty good against lefties in his career, even though I don't know. Carty doesn't think so, but and we just got a Pope recently. Maybe something breaks, maybe somebody's talking about the Pope and Castellanos goes yard. But otherwise,
but when is the stats limitations is already hit? It's been like 4 games. You can't circle back.
Who knows? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. You never know. Just kind of like
allegedly, I think he's a White Sox fan. So why don't you start stacking the White Sox?
There we go. So
good luck with that.
Yeah, I don't like a lot of offense there in those 2 games. So now to the ones that are going to be on this, where we have Pittsburgh. Yeah, the Pittsburgh thing, I had them at 4. I'm going to move them to 5 with the lineup. Don't like the lineup. Thought maybe some of those guys in that lineup could attack David Peterson. Maybe. But I'm going to put them in 5. The New York Mets, just because it's Paul Skeens, maybe you can get him out of there after 5 innings and then beat up on a bullpen that's not particularly good. And that could buoy your stat. It's a good offense. So I'm going to put New York in 4. I can't go too high because it is Paul Skeens, but 4 seems pretty decent.
All right, so you got New York in 4. I believe you have Pittsburgh at the bottom, right? San Antonio, Atlanta, if I heard that correctly.
All the way down.
All right, got to make producer TJ work and maneuver the Pirates down to the 5-hole, which is San Antonio, Atlanta. But I noticed you put San Antonio, Atlanta. Well, I guess because Phoenix is actually Houston. Okay, I say a little bit confusing, but if you know how that, Phoenix's pick goes, of course, to the Rockets.
Got to keep up with this show. People got to keep up with this show, man.
Nats taking on the Braves. 8.5 is the total. Grant Holmes, Jake Irvin. I haven't asked TJ if he has Spidey bombs in the wing. I know he's producing. He's probably making some lineups. Is that a thing that's happening? Or Spidey bombs available?
No, I haven't. I'm not making any lineups. I haven't actually even looked at the slate.
Oh, Well, there you go. Spidey. Well, it has Spidey. Wait, hold on a second. Do we have some cover something? Who actually does? Wait, I think we just discovered. I don't want to be the conspiracy guy, TJ. But are you
asked
saying
if I was making lineups? I have not looked at the slate, so I'm making no lineups, Dean.
But why are there no Spidey bombs if you haven't looked at the slate? Doesn't Spidey just know?
Well, I'm sure he does, but I haven't had a chance to talk to him.
Oh, isn't he in the room?
Absolutely not. He's in New York saving people from crime.
Fair enough. Jake Irvin, Grant Holmes, 8.5 total. Braves are pushing 5. Yeah, Atlanta and Washington. What are we doing with the East teams, John?
Washington is going in tier 5 for me. Grant Holmes is okay. He's not bad at all. And on this slate, there's offenses we're going to talk about that I really like. So I don't need to push the envelope with Washington here. Atlanta, on the other hand, is going in tier 2 for me. Jake Irvin he's what do we call him? Average at best. And if you're going to get to him, you can certainly get to him with left-handers. Atlanta has the left-handers that are capable of putting up good totals on anybody. So I'll take some Atlanta little left-handed mini stacks here. I don't mind that. I'll put them in tier 2.
All right, Atlanta tier 2. Where did you throw Washington?
All the way down at the bottom.
Washington hanging out with Pittsburgh. The Marlins in Chicago. 8 total. I feel like, was that lower earlier in the day? I feel like it was lower earlier in the day. The Marlins team total is less than 3. Cal Quantrill taking on Colin Ray. Again, did mention the weather here is not perfect. It's not ideal for hitting. But, it is ideal to hit baseballs against Cal Quantrill. Marlins, we know their offense is pretty rough these days. Where do you have the Cubbies and the Fish?
The Fish reminds me of that movie, The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh.
I've never seen it before, but I'm aware of it.
Yeah.
Isn't it like there's an athlete in it, right? Wasn't it like an athlete?
Dr. J.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, Dr. J. You have to refresh my memory, but I think it was the Pittsburgh Pisces. Dr. J was in. Good movie. Miami, not a good offense, going in tier 4. Maybe they get to Colin Ray. Not a huge dependent on that, but they're going in tier 4. Chicago, this is the interesting one, Dean. I got Chicago Cubs in tier 3. Okay, they probably should be higher because you say the weather doesn't look good, and I also say the weather doesn't look great. But man, they're also getting the second highest team total on the board. So maybe the weather's not a big factor tonight. Maybe Roth can talk to us about that. But what really gets me bumping Chicago down is their top 4-man stack, top 5-man stack on DraftKings. Not just expensive, it's going to be the highest owned. According to some of the ownership numbers that I've seen already, the top 5-man stack on DraftKings for the Chicago Cubs would be the highest owned 5-man stack on the slate today. I can't, if there's even a hint of bad weather or, cooler weather with the winds blowing in the most wind reliant ballpark in baseball, I can't rightfully put you up in tier 1 or even tier 2. So I'm going to put them in tier 3.
PCA still leading off with not playing today. He's been good, thriving in that leadoff spot. Tucker has been awesome as well. I do like some of these Cubs. Of course, Carson Kelly is playing out of his mind this year. I imagine that's going to fall back at some point. He's never shown this in his career, but he's certainly playable if you have the salary and you're running that stack out there. The Rockies, another terrible offense taking on Tyler Mahle. We mentioned Tyler Mahle, but in the ERA in the 1s, it's been really lucky. The Sierra's around 4, but is this the kind of offense that's going to correct it? We talked about how bad the Colorado Rockies have been this season, specifically on the road. Texas, no Seager, no Hine. Jake Berger is back, but also Smith is out. So you have Carter leading off, especially cheap on FanDuel, cheap on DK as well, 3.5. Jock Peterson is cheap. Jake Berger is cheap. Young has jumped up to the 6 hole. Marcus Semien still really cheap. Of course, he's been scuffling this year. Wyatt Langford right now, probably their best hitter. You got to pay for him, but it isn't hard. It really is not hard to get this Texas stack, and they're one of the more popular teams rolling out today. If you want to do a little leverage thing for Colorado, people going to play some Mahle, by all means, I guess you can, but I just think this team is terrible, and I guess they're still reeling from the fact they lost their manager because they're inept. Rockies and Texas. What do you got?
Colorado is going to go in tier 4 versus Melee. I do like him. I will play him. Won't play any Colorado players tonight, but I'll put him in tier 4 because, Melee might end up being somewhat popular. He might have some ownership. Maybe you get something out of it if you stack Colorado. That's the only reason. Otherwise, the offense stinks and the pitcher's pretty good. So, they're in tier 4 for me. Texas, finally, let's get one up in tier 1. Let's get them up in Phoenix. I like Texas tonight. I wish Seager was in the lineup, but that's okay. I still think they have pieces there. You're getting a game versus the highest team total on the board, a bad starting pitcher, home run prone starting pitcher, lefties and righties both. He's bad against both. And when we get him out of the game, we get a crack at a bad bullpen. It's the all the way around just really good stacking situation for Texas. I'm putting them in tier 1.
Texas in the one hole, still just one team hanging out with Utah, one team hanging out with Chicago. Mostly these offenses have not been getting glowing reviews. Did we just get a San Fran lineup? Is that what dropped? I know we got an Angels earlier. Yeah, Yaz, Chapman, Ramos, Lee, Flores, Adames, Bailey, Matos, and Koss. That is your San Francisco lineup. Who are we waiting for? I guess the Yankees, right? Yeah, no Yankees, no D-backs, which is of note because I'm really curious if Jordan Lawler starts tonight. Uber prospect. I know it's a shortstop is one of the positions that we like. It's a premium position. Not as deep as it typically is, but he is 2K on DK. 2K on FanDuel as well, which is useful. But 2K on DK is even more useful. They said he's going to start 4 to 5 times a week. They just called him up. He was up last year for a cup of coffee, but one of the bigger prospects in all of baseball, some power, some speed. And I'm interested if he plays tonight. No lineup there just yet. Your Astros are at home. Ryan Gusto, Michael Wacha. Wacha kind of reverse splitsy, taking on a slew of righties. There's Victor Caratini in there, the switch hitter, so from the left-hand side. We talked about KC. It's basically Bobby Witt and a bunch of dudes. Vinny P on Manicani Monday, but otherwise, especially the back end, it gets pretty rough. How do you have the Royals and the Astros?
Putting the Royals in tier 3. I don't particularly like them, and I don't think I'll have a Royals hitter in my lineup tonight. But it's Gusto. You just never know about a young guy like this. Maybe he gets maybe he gets beat up on a little bit. Don't like the KC lineup though, but I'll put him in tier 3 just for the fact that maybe against a bad one. Walker's a veteran, got a little more experience. I know you say reverse splitsy, but boy, this Houston lineup without Jordan is just not particularly good. So I'm going to put him in tier 4. I just don't have a lot of interest in stacking this lineup without that big left-hander batting third. So I'm going to put him in tier 4.
All right, moving on. Chop, we have the BVP suggestion of the day and the knockers. Those are on layaway, correct?
Of course, bro. What do you think this is? Amateur hour?
Well, I don't like to be presumptuous, and I was kind of presumptuous with TJ and Spidey, and I got bit. That's what happens when you presume, right? So I just want to confirm that at least somebody showed up, ready to work today. Spidey. I don't know where Spidey is, hanging out in Saskatoon somewhere. But all right, let's move on.
Stopping crime in New York City, Dean. We've been through this. He's saving people's lives.
Next up is the Yankees. Yankees taking on the Mariners. Emerson Hancock taking on Clark Schmidt. We talked about the breakout game, I suppose, for over the weekend for the outfielder. God, why am I losing his name? For Dominguez. Not currently projected to start. What's up?
Jason.
Yeah, I just call him the Martian. That is his that's what he was dubbed several years ago. And did they still call him that? I'm not sure. Matt Damon.
You might want to earn your nickname before you start giving out nicknames.
Well, I don't know how he got it. I don't think he named himself. But yeah, it is Clark Schmidt taking on Hancock.
You're saying it might be from his childhood because he looks a little weird. Maybe you're right.
No,
maybe you're right.
No, I'm saying that because he's super skilled. He's like an alien. Like they say Wemby. Isn't Wemby the alien? And I think Dominguez is the Martian. I think that's, yeah. I wasn't saying he looks weird. But yeah, Aaron Judge, just what is he hitting now? Like 415, 420? It's insane. It's completely bonkers. Also hitting a bunch of homers too. The power is insane. Ben Rice has been one of the better hitting, just power hitters this season. I don't know if that's going to continue, but we've seen that. And Hancock's not somebody that's necessarily going to slow him down. We assume Grisham's going to lead off once again. Where do we have New York and Seattle?
So Seattle against Clark Schmidt. I've already said I kind of like Clark Schmidt, so I'm not as much on the Seattle offense here. I'm putting them in tier 4. I guess tier 4 is fine. I can't put them in tier 5. Schmidt's not that good, but tier 4 seems fine. All right, the New York Yankees. Now I don't like the venue. I don't like at Seattle. It's such a pitcher's ballpark. It's going to cut down on a lot of scoring in general, even with a good offense like that. But the Yankees, man, they have so many good things about the lineup in general. And then you get a game like today and you take on a guy like Emerson Handjob and he's got all kinds of bad red flags here for, some of his metrics here. So I'm going to put the Yankees in tier 2 because I think it's a good matchup for him. I hate the ballpark. I got to start filling tier 2s and stuff like that. So not everybody can be tier 4. So let's put them in tier 2.
All right. Just let that sit there for a second. Trying to see if we
let it marinate. Let it marinate a little bit.
I was going to add on, but I resisted. I'm going to pull back and move on from New York and Seattle. 2 more games to go. By the way, the fourth clue, we verbalized it for Movie Monday. We already have a winner as well. But now they're all scrolling. You play for funsies. Even Chop knocked it out. 5 clues for Movie Monday. Again, RG Premium has already been given out. Medieval, Ride, Island, Recreation. The last clue was Toronto in honor of TJ. Yeah, sure. Why not? Who was our winner? I'll go. Let's shout out to, looks like, trying to see the winner was in our Discord channel. Eros. AAUROS. So shout out to Eros. Am I mispronouncing that? My apologies if I'm doing so. You should be getting juiced up there with a week free of RG Premium momentarily. Or you can just go ahead and pay for it. You can go ahead and get yourself an RG Premium. Baseball, you can buy baseball a la carte if you want that, sure. But you can imagine there's a Venn diagram. If you're playing some MLB DFS, you're probably playing the other sports as well. So it's the exact same price to get all the baseball content as it is to get football, baseball, basketball, hockey, MMA, PGA, LOL. I will be playing some PGA. I know there's a big tournament going on. I have a few tickets to that. Somehow I won some tickets. The championship, I think. I don't know, Chop. You know more about golf than I do. And I had a nice little day this past weekend. Nothing big, but, positive. I was in the positive for golf. So nice seeing that. I always dabble in those golf streets. But yeah, you can get that as well if you're into golf, football, baseball, basketball, all the sports, everything with the exception of NASCAR. 6 months, commit to 6 months. You get 35% off the standard price as opposed to going month by month by month by month. You commit for 6 months, you get yourself a nice discount. You get the optimizer, you get the bells, you get the whistles, you get the articles, you get the expert survey, you get the rankings, umpire data, weather edge from Kevin Roth, all the goods. Anything you can think of. Okay, let's go ahead and by the way, if you're in the props and pick 'em, we got 50% off the props and pick 'em streets as well. All this stuff is in the link to the description here on the YouTube. And as you're clicking all that stuff, obviously you want to click the like button. Checking in the poll, by the way, most people, and not surprisingly, who do you hope wins the draft lottery? 23% for Utah, 25% for Washington, 14%, the lowest number. TJ tried his best to finagle to manipulate the people into getting his Raptors, but the biggest number is the field, others. So not surprising there. Let's knock out these last 2 games here, Chop. It is the Angels taking on the Padres. Mike King. It's Mike now? That's not Michael? Just Mike. Okay, we're going by Mike King versus Yusei Kikuchi. Lowest total on the board. I think it's the lowest. One of the lowest for the Angels. Less than 3. King is going to be, massively owned. At least 50% in DK as far as I can tell. You're playing cash games, just lock him in there. Single entry stuff. I can't imagine not playing him. You tell me, Chop, where we putting the Padres and the Angels.
So the Padres, I'm putting in tier 3, Toronto. It's a good lineup. It's a good pitcher, but maybe, just maybe you can get lucky with this lineup tonight. So I'm going to put them in tier 3. I just have a lot of respect for that San Diego lineup when it's healthy.
No Jordan Lawler. Like, why even call the guy up? What's the point? Why even bother? Call him the best. You got to play Perdomo.
When did they call him up?
Yesterday. We just talked. I was talking about this like 20 minutes
ago. Maybe he had some travel issues, man. I mean, who are we to say? We don't know. Maybe
they called him up last night. Like, you know,
exactly. Maybe
what is he coming like a horse and buggy?
Not. Maybe he has some. Maybe he has some rough travel, man. Maybe he's still jet lagged or something, Dean. And you can't focus on the baseball if you're jet lagged. I don't know, Dean. I'm not trying to get up in that man's business. I'm trying to talk about.
Was it Kurtz? Remember for Oakland, the Athletics? We've seen several times where players can call up. They give him like a day to acclimate, I guess, to try to like just be a major leaguer. He's done this before. He was up last year briefly, but okay. I wanted the 2K shortstop. That was one of my sneaky things to do today, but I'm tilting that all the 2K shortstop. That's good. 2K shortstop.
There's other 2K guys out there.
They're not good though. Who's the good ones?
Well, we don't know if he was going to be good either. So you never know. Anyway, let's go. LA Angels, Dean. Let me talk about the Angels for a second,
please.
Speaking of lineups coming out and all that good stuff, ran the numbers here since they dropped this lineup. Now we got Arizona's lineup. It's as to be expected, Arizona. But the Angels, rerunning that lineup. They're bad. They're really bad tonight. They've dropped a few guys that we thought were going to be in there. They got 6 guys who strike out at a high rate against Michael. Michael King's easy lock and load SP1 now. He probably already was anyway, but that's all the convincing you need right there. LA Angels go in tier 5. There's no doubt about it. They're not doing anything tonight that makes you want to stack them. There's just no way. I'll go on.
So I don't want to cut you off, Chop. And we'll play the game again.
Sure.
Tim Anderson, again, shout out to Tim. He had a great career. Still cashing those checks. Do you want to guess? 207 at-bats dating back to last season versus right-handers. 207 at-bats. What is Tim Anderson's ISO, his isolated power, versus righties dating back to last season?
I mean, it's probably got to be under 50.
Yeah, probably.
Is it 0?
He's got 207 at-bats. He had to like dumb himself into like a double accidentally.
It feels double. One of them hits third base on a slow dribbler and he legs it out. I don't know. Talk to me. Who is it? What is it?
15.
Wow, 1-5. What happened? I'll tell you what.
That is atrocious.
Jose Ramirez knocked the good baseball out of him. That was it.
Man, 1.9% as far as the walk rate. Like, just play somebody else. Like, I just don't. You're supposed to like try to advance, your system. What's the point? Anyways, that's good for Michael King though, because Tim Anderson, if I have Bush powers, and I don't, but if I did, now he's going to hit a double tonight. We'll see. Stay tuned. I want him to say a home run. 15 ISO is, I don't know if I've ever seen anything that low with that big of a sample. Pitchers probably, remember pitchers used to hit? Remember how dumb that was? That was the stupidest thing they did forever. They had higher ISOs than 15. Anyways, Chop, we have one more game to go. We have crunch time knocking on the door. I got to explain how we got our, you could explain to the people how we got our movie Monday, because I do want to reveal why the clues made all the sense in the world. But let's talk about the D-backs. D-backs taking on the Giants. I'm annoyed. I'm tilted that Jordan Lawler is not playing baseball today, at least not starting. Justin Verlander throwing baseballs against Merrill Kelly. Tough ballpark. The wind is blowing out, but this is San Fran, and this ballpark is, built to where wind is not necessarily a factor. Where do we have Kelly and Justin Verlander? I don't know why I'm asking you about the pitchers. How about the offenses? Arizona and San Fran.
San Fran versus Merrill Kelly goes in tier 4 for me. He's okay. He's at worst about a league average pitcher these days. Merrill Kelly is, and San Fran doesn't. The lineup doesn't do anything to like really jump off the charts to me. Although Willie Adames has some pretty good BVP. Did not take him as the suggestion of the day, just throwing it out there. But they're a tier 4. Frisco's a tier 4 against Merrill Kelly. Arizona's the interesting one here because Verlander is a name that screams don't stack against for many years. But obviously we know this isn't the same Verlander anymore. Doesn't strike guys out anymore. Gets hit quite a bit. There's a lot. He's always been a fly ball pitcher. And now he's just not getting a lot of strikeouts to compensate for all those fly balls, So You're going to get opportunities to hit home runs off of him. I'm putting Arizona in tier 2. It's a good lineup. It's a good team. And Verlander is just not what he used to be, man. So I'm putting him in tier 2, Zona tier 2.
I was curious, Chop. I just dated back to last season. I went on Fangraphs. I wanted to see a minimum of 200 at-bats. I wanted to see, any worse ISO out there than Tim Anderson. And what's funny is we have in Plate IQ, we have Tim Anderson at 15 as far as his ISO. And again, 200 bats. This is against righties. This is just in general. I didn't split it on Fangraphs against, left-handed, right-handed. This is just anybody. So Tim Anderson against lefties and righties combined, his ISO drops to 13. It drops to 13. And the next lowest guy is Trey Lipscomb for Washington at 31. Tyler Wade at 31. Jankowski, 44. Anthony Rendon. He has 200 bats in the last 2 years. Shout out to him. Keep playing, Anthony Rendon. 49. So by far, the worst ISO hitter, power hitter.
Juan Soto is so good.
Yeah.
He drug the corpse of Anthony Rendon to a World Series title.
I think Rendon was pretty good.
Nah, he was good that year. Rendon was good. Like that was the pinnacle for Rendon, and he got his money that next year. And baby, you talk about mailing it in. There are very few athletes in the history.
He just openly said it. He's like, "Yeah, I don't really care about baseball. I don't like baseball."
There are very few athletes.
Where's my check?
In the history of the game that's ever mailed it in as good as Rendon did. But props to him, man.
Hey, look! Shout out to his agent and shout out to him. And the Angels, not a great history. Don't pay Ohtani, but you pay Rendon, you pay Mo Vaughn. No wait, they paid Mo Vaughn, and that was a complete disaster. Pujols didn't, that wasn't great. And great job there. Is Artie Moreno still the owner of that team? Is he gone? He might be gone. Not sure. Let's recap the board. We have Crunch Time coming in here momentarily. And let's see. We have, of course, Erik Beimfohr, Derek Carty, CEO of the Bat and the Blitz, and, of course, keeping it around just Kevin Roth coming in momentarily. Here is the board, Roth coming on in a minute. Phoenix, in the Phoenix category, if you guys are just joining us, Chop ranked which teams he wants to see win the NBA draft lottery, which is tonight. Phoenix, of course, loses their pick, and it goes to Houston, which, by the way, if you're a Phoenix fan, you thought things couldn't get any worse. Imagine winning this, and oh boy, we lose our number one pick. That's a disaster. Texas all by themselves in tier number 2. Egregiously, Chop has Utah in the 2-hole. That's Atlanta, New York, Arizona. Right in the middle, Toronto, the Cubbies, Kansas City, San Diego, and Cubs. I think I said them twice. Philadelphia, Chop not a big fan. He was slanderous toward their fan base. Got him in the 4-hole. That's the Mets.
I said no offense, Dean.
Well, that covers everything. No offense.
Yes.
Let me go on this rant.
It is a blanket. It covers everything.
The Mets, the Marlins, the Rockies, Houston, Seattle, the Giants, and all the way down at the bottom, Chop is afraid. He doesn't want his Rockets to be a secondary team in the state of Texas. He's afraid of San Antonio getting Cooper Flag, and all of a sudden Flag might be being an unstoppable force for the next 10 years. Pittsburgh, Washington, and the Angels. Today's movie Monday, and we'll turn it over to you as far as the knockers in just a second, as well as the VVP suggestion of the day. But the 5 clues for today, we did get a winner. Chop got it at 4 or 3 or 4, depending on. So shout out to Chop. Shout out to those that got this correctly. Clue number 1 was medieval. And like always, Chop, it's not going to be the perfect clue, but it does make sense because one of the actors in this movie is named Wayne Knight. You may know him as Newman, but that doesn't matter. But it's Wayne Knight is in this movie. Medieval. 2, ride. There's actually a ride in the movie. You take a ride in the movie, and also there's rides in real life based upon this movie at Universal Studios, at Islands of Adventure. Speaking of islands, the movie takes place predominantly, I think, fully on an island. It's been a while. Island was the 3rd clue. The 4th clue, Chop, was recreation. Parks and Rec. I'm not sure if that did anything for you. Parks and Rec, of course, a fun little sitcom if you've not seen it. That's there where that comes from. And then Toronto is in reference to what we're talking about. It all kind of comes together. We're talking about the lottery, and tonight Toronto is they have a puncher's chance. They got a shot getting the number 1 pick in Toronto. Of course, they're called the Raptors. And what is a raptor, Chop? It's a dinosaur. And that's why today's Movie Monday is Jurassic Park. All right, Chop. The people want the knockers. The people want the old BBP suggestion of the day.
All right. Well, let's go. All right, Dean. So BBP suggestion of the day. So I mentioned Willie Adames earlier, and having some decent BVP, but I didn't, the algorithm is, it spits out these names, and sometimes it's just up to me to figure out, like, is a small sample, but really good circumstances better than a larger sample of, not as good of numbers, but and the circumstances tonight maybe aren't as good. So I got, there's the algorithm says one thing, but then it's up to me to figure out. So I went with the small sample tonight, but I like everything about this kid, Nico Horner tonight, batting number 6 for Chicago. Very small sample, but we got to factor in everything else, and that's all things factored in. I'm giving it to Nico Horner tonight as the BVP suggestion of the day.
So. I'm seeing 8 at bats, 5 hits, 4 singles, a triple, and a walk. So
yeah, there's a lot there. And like I said before, Dean, it's not just about the raw numbers versus a pitcher, batter versus pitcher. It's about everything. It's about the pitcher's arm angle. It's about the pitcher's usage. What does he throw? How much does he throw it? What are the rates at which he throws it? What's his spin rate? How does the batter, how does
the BEP model takes all that into account?
Everything, all of it.
I don't believe that. I don't believe
it's an algorithm, Dean. It's an algorithm. And so
I know it's a fancy way of making it seem more legitimate, but I don't think that's actually true. Not the question.
I think Horner has a really good beat on the arm angle and everything that's going on tonight with Kyle Quantrill. So we're going to go Nico Horner, BVP suggestion today. All right, so we're on the knockers.
Yeah.
Let's get some Lone Star knockers out there tonight. I love the Texas stack tonight. Love it. Don't love that Seager's not in it, but that's okay. I can pivot on this one. Give me the 4 or 5 hitters in this lineup. Adolis Garcia, Marcus Semien against Dollander. He stinks. This is a good matchup. This is it's a good team to take on. Bad bullpen. Everything about it's good. Just pick 2 Texas guys, basically. But I'm going 4 or 5 because Semien is like ridiculously cheap on both sides, and Adolis is not expensive either.
Yeah, I mean, Simeon's been terrible this year for what it's worth, but, and maybe he turns it around versus Dollander. You said he's not good. He hasn't been good. Theoretically, he could be good in the future. Just checking out the BEP stuff, by the way. Yastrzemski's got 40 at-bats versus Merrill Kelly. I was kind of surprised to see that. They face each other a lot, being in the same division. But, Wade as well. I guess Kelly's been in Arizona forever, so. I saw 3 homers. Yeah, nobody has more than 3 home runs, the LBP, but he's got a bunch of at-bats, so. Don't get too excited. Of course, the ballpark stinks as well. All right. Do hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do turn on notifications, but do not go anywhere because we got Crunch Time coming in, fully assembled. Derek Carty. We have Kevin Roth, Erik Beimfohr. Let's do it right now. Crunch Time.
Doppler boy up in the spot. Check the clouds, what the weather got. Let's go. Kevin Roth on the beat, that's hot. Okay. Rain delay, man, we dodging that lot. Doppler boy, Doppler boy, Doppler boy. Whoa, I check the radar, then I go. Zoom. DFS cat.
All right. That's enough of that.
Where's the rest of the song?
Yeah, that was plenty of that song, I assure you.
You remember on iTunes, you get like 30 seconds for free? That was like the iTunes tease right there. And now you got to go to the RotoGrinders account. Is it the pinned account or the pinned tweet? I'm not sure.
It was for a while. I hope it's not anymore. But
Michael Scott continually replaying the
the love ballad from the
what is that, like Sarah McLachlan or something? I don't know.
No, it was a male. I can't remember.
James Blunt.
There you go.
That's who it was. There you go. I was thinking the same thing. That's where the reference was in my head also. But Roth, just be nice to TJ, because he's going to be around for a bit, just so you know. So TJ's like making his claim right out the gate. He's going to be
right. He's letting me know. He's getting ready.
Yeah, it's never going to. Don't let him know if it bothers you. It's a good general rule, but your poker face.
I loved it, TJ. Yeah,
I love that I'm going to be filling in for Steve for a while, and he made sure that before I started filling in, he had this full video ready to go in the StreamYard on lock, right with all the rest of the credits.
Thanks, Steve.
He said he spent 3 hours on that, and 3 hours well spent. You want to check out the entire video again, do check out the RG the RG Twitter account. Hey, Chop, you told me to remind you. You had a question for Roth. You had a Roth question, unrelated to Doppler Boy, is my understanding.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. I ain't gonna lie. I don't know. I don't even know how I got that. Is that AI? That was interesting.
I think so.
So it doesn't even pertain to tonight.
Okay.
But yesterday it was, and that's why I was thinking about it yesterday. So we know Colorado has this massive elevation, and that's part of the reason why it's such a good hitter's park. And then the second ballpark in Major League Baseball, the second most elevated ballpark in Major League Baseball, Arizona. But it's a dome. How does that, when they close that roof, do you still get the same elevation?
Good question. I don't think it would matter. I think you still get the elevation bump either way. But yeah, good question. But I think the elevation still counts even with the roof closed.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Roth, you asked in the YouTube. I guess you caught up at that list. We're talking about the lottery going down tonight. In for you, I assume you're going to be watching it as a Houston fan. You're rooting for Phoenix to come up.
There's never really a shakeup, is there? Like it's shockingly pretty much the T usually.
Oh no, it happens plenty of times.
The Spurs.
Yeah, the Spurs is one. Duncan, Robinson. I guess that was the previous season, right? We've seen it several times.
Just last year, Atlanta, even though the draft sucked, they somehow binked the number one. No, it happens these days. They've changed the rules, man.
Oh, that's true. I forgot they changed it to make
Spurs get it again. It's rigged. It's officially rigged if the Spurs get it again, especially with flag. I mean, come on.
What San Antonio is like the 28th biggest market in the league, and they're going to rig it for San Antonio.
Seventh largest market. They're the seventh largest market.
Well, as far as popularity, though, like they're not selling jerseys and versus like Lakers
in
France,
Boston. They are. In France, they are.
Dean doesn't know about international. Golly, he doesn't know about they want a feel good story for Pop. So they're freezing the balls tonight. They're freezing the balls tonight, Dean.
I still think they should do it in front of everybody. It'd be more fun to watch, like it did it back in the day. Watching the thing, make a show out of it. Like actually make a show out of it, and have like fan bases there, like going nuts, like watching it, not just the executives. So, like you can't get too excited. But that's just my soapbox. But if Utah wins, Chop, you said they're gonna fix it. They're gonna fix it for Utah. They're gonna fix it for Dallas because it's a make good and the terrible trade they made. This is all part of the plan. You can like logic your way into like 10 different reasons why 10 different teams they could get fixed for them. But tell me beforehand what team they're rigging it for. And one team. You can't have like 7. That's all I want to know. But that's my soapbox. Chop, anything else before you step aside and get out of here?
No, we good.
All right. Let's see. You guys got 25 minutes or so until the FanDuel slate locks, and about over 50 minutes until DraftKings. FanDuel, of course, including those first 2 games. Chop, myself, Dean, do appreciate you hit that like button and don't go anywhere because again, 50 plus minutes nonstop MLB DFS conversation starts right now. Kevin Roth, take it away.
It does indeed. Good stuff. As always, welcome to it, ladies and gents. You know the drill. Crunch time. 2 of the sharpest minds in the biz. We got Beimfohr in the house. What's up, Eric? How are you?
Backwards hat guy. I like it. I'm in on this. I am constantly wearing a backwards hat. So somebody's got to take away from the flowing locks of Carty over here with a different style. So I think it meshes well.
It's true. It's majestic. Derek Carty, he has his own custom shampoo and conditioner that he uses, and rightfully so. Carty, how are you, man?
I'm doing pretty well. Got a full stock of the shampoo and conditioner, got some backups in case we run into any shortages, in the near future. So I'm good.
Actually, I didn't even put this together. Lately, my shampoo has been burning the shit out of my scalp. I might need some custom. I may have to.
It seems like something that should have been like resonating with you more while it was happening.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I just kept shampooing more. I was like, I must need to shampoo more, and then it just got worse and worse. I was like, oh, I think I figured out what the problem.
It works that way.
Yeah, that's on me. Carty, how you feeling about this slate?
Pretty good, I guess. It's one of those slates where like there's a couple of things that really stick out, and then a whole lot of stuff that's like the same. Not a whole lot that's really truly terrible.
Yeah.
So, it's that's the kind of slate I think we have.
Okay. Weather-wise, someone says your wife is pranking you with jalapeno juice. I could see it. We're a little, there have been some issues. We're good, to be clear, but some minor issues.
What's that? Isn't there a movie where the guy's like cheating
It's called
on
The Parent Trap.
there's a guy he's cheating on like Leslie Mann, and then also cheating on the girl he's cheating on. I forget what it's called or whatever, but they all find out that he's cheating and they start pranking him and stuff. And part of it was they put stuff in the like his hair starts falling out and all this different kind of stuff. So I'm not saying
ones in it, and
I
forget who the third one is.
I forget who it is.
Is it Adam Sandler, the guy? I don't know.
I forget who Cameron Diaz, Kate Upton, and Leslie Mann are the three women. But yeah, Doppler boy. The other woman, yes, I knew Dean.
There we go. Dean, Dean, our movie buff, ready.
I'm not saying Roth anything. Yeah.
You're not implying anything.
The only other time I've heard of this happening, this is what was going on.
Yeah, that's probably the explanation. All right, enough shampoo talk. We're quick weather talk here. I don't expect we're going to see any issues. The only spot I'm even mildly hesitant is in Atlanta, where there's a chance for a delay. I think that the delay chance is low enough that you just play pitchers anyways. Really, Carty, do we want pitchers there in Atlanta?
Not like as a cash option, but we have I think one pretty good GPP option in Atlanta.
Yeah, and just based on the coverage that I'm seeing on Radar, I just think the likely outcome is the rain and the storm stay away from the ballpark. I'm looking at it right now. I think you're probably fine. It's just the one spot where I won't rule out a delay, really, but I doubt we see one. And then I love the pitching weather in Chicago. In Wrigley, winds are blowing in, temperatures probably upper 50s in Wrigley with winds blowing in at almost 10 miles per hour. That is certainly a bump to the pitchers. And that's all I've got. So with that,
hysterical because Cal Quantrill still projects as the worst pitcher on the slate by a lot.
They need it. The pitchers need it.
That is amazing. Like how it's difficult to give up home runs in those conditions, and yet it seems he will do it. Okay, well, let's talk about some of these pitchers. Carty, you can lead us off.
All right. So the top guy tonight by a considerable margin is Michael King. He's one of the only two guys on this slate that we could really call an ace. And he's got a good matchup against the Angels, certainly a much better matchup than Paul Skeens has against the Mets, the other guy that we would call an ace. They're similarly priced. King is going to, according to the Bats ownership, is going to be 60% owned. Like he's going to be chewing up a ton of ownership tonight. You play him in cash in tournaments. You can certainly get away with not playing him because it's baseball and that's how baseball works. After him, it's kind of a step down to Skeens and Tyler Mahle, who somehow has been decent this year and is somehow 9.2K and is somehow projecting pretty well. Wow. It helps that he's facing the Rockies, but that's just bizarre to me when I first saw that. I think those will be the three guys that get the most ownership. And then after that, there's a drop down to probably like 10 guys that are all within a point or two of each other. They're all similarly priced. They're all similarly projected for ownership. You have like a cluster of like Grant Holmes, Clark Schmidt, Kikuchi, Colin Ray, Verlander, Dollander. So like you can just mix all of them in if you want to be different than the three. I'm not going to call them three aces because Tyler Mahle does not count as an ace, but the three top guys on the slate.
Do you have a take when you get to that next tier of a dude that maybe you like above the others, Carty?
I would say just as a matter of ownership and salary, I'd say probably like Kikuchi and Dollander, but it's not like a strong lean there.
Okay. And then on FanDuel, I believe we've got two more games, right? We've got the two early games. Does anything change over there? And we only need one pitcher. Maybe pricing's different, Carty.
Michael King is still just like far and away the best guy here. You get Christopher Sanchez on the slate, who's like kind of on that same level a little bit as like Skeens and Mahle. Tanner Houck below him, I think, is interesting for tournaments because of how cheap he is and the matchup's really good. And he's been really bad this year, so nobody's going to want to play him. Mm-hmm. So I like Houck a lot in tournaments on FanDuel, but I think those are kind of the only two relevant guys there.
Okay, good note. By the way, Crazy Coop had just asked how on FanDuel, so good job at seeing that or not seeing it and just answering it, just being ready. Erik, your thoughts here as we look at the pitchers, both DK and on FanDuel, please.
Yeah, I don't have much on FanDuel. I think I might like Christopher Sanchez. I know Carty mentioned him, just like a maybe a tick more than Carty does. But I'm holding on to this Cardinals are frauds thing, and apparently I'm just going to be going down with the ship as they win every single game. Apparently, it's not making any sense to me. They're like literally rebuilding, like they're in
the Cardinals. It's what they do. They stopped. They took a break for a year or two, but this is what the Cardinals do.
They took a break to do the Yachty, Wainwright, Pujols like swan song thing, and then everybody got pissed and stopped going to the games, and all these young guys are like, you need to come back because we just are winning like every single game. It's crazy. I don't really buy it. I kind of like Christopher Sanchez a little bit, but that nothing really changes much for me with FanDuel included, honestly, on the whole slate, and really not at pitcher. Carty nailed it. Michael King is just like as a more of a single entry, 3 entry max, small field type player, like I'm just playing Michael King. Like I just don't think there's that many great alternatives. I think Cheese mentioned it in his article today. Like if Paul Skeens had just like a slightly better matchup, because I just am not sure that Paul Skeens is maybe what we thought he was going to be. Like he's amazing, right? He's an ace. He's a stud, all of that. But the matchup doesn't matter. Play him at 10K plus, no matter what, every single game. I don't think that is true. And the Mets are like the worst possible team to test that theory out.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of bats I like. We're gonna get into the bats, and shoot, man, there's like 10 stacks you could play that I think are like genuinely viable. So I'm just gonna play Michael King and worry about finding my way to get different with the bats. I do maybe not like some of the cheap options as much as maybe the market is going to like. So we'll talk probably a little bit about that Wrigley game. I know that the weather is nice, but Colin Ray is kind of like people's punt du jour. And forgive me if Colin Ray at any ownership is not appealing to me. I'm just going to look to like Tyler Mahle when it's like, I don't totally believe in this guy, but at least he's facing the Rockies. And I just feel more confident in a Mahle than I do in someone like a Colin Ray. I prefer Grant Holmes too. So I'm glad you gave the kind of pseudo weather thumbs up, because I just prefer Grant Holmes to Colin Ray, a slightly tougher matchup. But also I think this Marlins offense is how would I describe it? Sneaky, punchy, whatever. It's bad, but they're in the top 20-ish against right-handed pitching this year so far, small sample, whatever. But they went full youth movement, right? So they're not trotting out all these 30-year-old dust ball veterans as they tank. They're kind of playing a bunch of their younger guys. So I think they're just a little bit more appealing to the Marlins offenses than the Rockies on the road. So I'm really honed in on kind of some of those top pitchers, led by King, of course, and then we'll have some more fun with our bats with some lower ownership.
Okay, well, let's talk about some of those bats and stacks. And Erik, you can lead us off. Is there a chalk stack that everybody's playing, everybody's going to, like the King equivalent for stacks?
I think the last total collective ownership, TJ, I don't know if you want to pull up SimLabs, but I think total collective ownership I was seeing earlier today, the Rangers actually as the chalkiest stack, but that's because they're both in a very good spot and they have a bunch of cheap guys, right? Notably, plenty of them with big names. I'm not sure that Marcus Semien should be thought of as a big name anymore. I don't know how many terrible at bats we got to watch before it's just kind of over for Marcus Semien. But he's not the worst hitter in all of baseball, and he's getting so cheap now, especially on DraftKings, that it's hard to ignore. Same thing with Jock Peterson. Maybe it's just over for Jock. This is a pretty hilarious start to the season, but we have a bunch of cheap options in one of the best spots on the board. You can obviously then get your other Rangers in and some other expensive bats. So you want King, you want Skeens, you want Mahle, whatever. You can do it with the Rangers. And
quickly on that note, I am seeing that list of projected ownership, and it doesn't look like there's one team that really stands out. There's a few towards the top, but no one team really jumps out.
Yep. And so to that end, I kind of prefer the Rangers are just not an elite a truly elite offense. They're fine. The Cubs, the next up on this list, right? The Cubs, the Braves, the Yankees. I'm like, yeah, okay. If I'm going to invest in this level of ownership, right, 10+%, like give me the best offense in baseball in a great spot. Don't give me this Rangers, Marcus Semien, Jock Peterson, Tucker Barnhart. Like don't give me that stuff. Give me the really, really good hitters. So that's where I'm gravitating to. And then if I want to find ways to get a little bit different, like let's move down the board. I like some of the Marlins guys as like one up. Like I'm not 5-man stacking or 4-man stacking the Marlins, but Colin Ray, like with a power left-handed bat or something, like, yeah, like find ways to save money. That's not Jock Peterson. That's not Marcus Semien with maybe some of these lesser offenses. And then you can get your Judges, get your Tuckers, get your Olsons and all those kind of guys with your low owned kind of punt bats. Don't play the same chalky punt bats that everyone else is playing.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, Carty, your thoughts as you look at the stacks. You're looking at ownership, you're looking at the bat projections, who's scoring the runs, and who can you get a little sneaky?
It's one of those slates where like there's just so much parity. Like I said earlier, I think the Braves and the Yankees are the teams I have the most interest in, but you can make a case for just about anybody here. Yeah. You get really good prices on the Nationals, the Royals, the Rangers. Yeah. And it feels really gross, but I don't mind like a Rockies mini stack against Tyler Mahle. Full stack is probably not going to get you there, but you can definitely find some pieces for good value that can do some damage against Mahle and get you some leverage off of a guy that is going to probably be the third highest owned pitcher on the slate and is, average at best.
Yeah. Right. And you were kind. You were kind when you said average. Yeah.
You did the with all due respect thing.
Yeah.
And with all due respect, Tyler Mahle is just not good.
Guys, before we dive into it and go around the horn, we've got about 7 minutes here until we hit FanDuel lock. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, the Red Sox, Tigers, and Cardinals, Phillies game is on the FanDuel slate. Is there anything about those two games that we can talk about specifically before we just kind of broad brush it, go in position by position? Carty, is there anything
sorry, I was just going to quickly say I'm not interested in the hitters in the Cardinals Phillies game. I think you could play hitters in the other game. Kerry Carpenter's leading off against Tanner Houck, who Carty has mentioned has not been very good, and Kerry Carpenter is quite good against right-handed pitching. So like home run hunting a couple of guys for decent prices, but it's not anything super appealing for me.
Yeah. Carty, anything you want to add there in those two games?
Yeah, I don't mind a Red Sox stack, a Philly stack, but it's not like we have the best teams on the slate or anything being added here.
Yeah. Okay. I almost said Steve, but I guess TJ, I'm going to need to know what on earth that quote is from.
Dude, you don't know what movie that quote's
That's
from?
what that's all from. That's Talladega Nights. That's the with all due respect thing. That's where it came from.
You can't say anything if you say with all. You sure as hell can. It's in the Geneva Convention.
All right. Pretty sure I got sauced up before I saw that movie for the first time. So yeah, it's low recollection. All right, let's go around the horn. Let's talk position by position here, and we get to start with Carty at the catcher spot.
Oh boy! Actually,
don't disrespect catcher.
This year, catcher is better than the next four positions.
Yeah.
So, today maybe not as much. So I think you're probably just playing someone in your stack, or you're just saving a little bit of money, like Yainer Diaz for 3.4K, Joey Bart for 3.6, Gabriel Moreno for 2.9, Henry Davis for 2.2 might be my favorite, just as a almost complete punt. The most talented catchers in baseball, most of them are not actually on this slate, and so you're kind of stuck with a top tier of guys that are kind of okay, maybe not in the best matchups, certainly more expensive than you want to pay for them. Cal Raleigh is the guy that you probably take a shot on in tournaments because his ownership's going to be reasonable and he's super expensive. But he has, I think, the most power on this slate.
Yeah.
And Hunter Goodman as potentially part of your Rocky mini stack.
Okay. Eric, any other thoughts there, catcher?
Not a ton. It is a little bit weaker. I like sorry, Carty, if you mentioned this, I was reading the chat who said that the Pistons won the lottery, and I was like, wait, what? That's just started. Which it had. I thought my time was all thrown off. But on opposite ends of the spectrum, the spend ups of kind of like the overpriced but hitting the crap out of the ball on the best stacks, I sometimes like on these slates. I'm done fighting the Carson Kelly thing if he's going to be 1% every, this is a truly absurd price, but it's a truly absurd start to the season. If he's going to be 1% every single time, I just want to mention him that for tournaments, sure, maybe he is the catcher Barry Bonds all of a sudden. Who knows? Austin Wells I much prefer to Carson Kelly because I think he can actually hit, and he's on the Yankees. Sean Murphy on the Braves, right? So like kind of Carty was talking about with, like, those are my favorite stacks: the Yankees, the Braves, and the Cubs. So I like their catchers, and then like completely punting it off against David Peterson with Henry Davis, who is apparently just going to be a guy I'm going to go down. Like, I don't know. Maybe he truly is just a quad A player, but every time he gets sent down to the minors, he rakes, and he comes up to the majors and he can't make contact with a baseball. So like, I don't know. I'm a sucker for those guys. He's 2,200. If he definitely has power and hitting capability. Who knows? You can do worse.
Yeah. Okay. How about first base?
A little bit better. There's no Ohtani or Freeman tonight, but I mean, Matt Olson, I think it would be disingenuous to not start with Matt Olson. He just jumps off the screen, but he's also going to be very, very popular. So again, I like the guys on these offenses that I particularly, am fond of stacking, right? Ben Rice, who is also like kind of the Carson Kelly, I guess, of first baseman, not to that level, but he's just going to hit home runs every day. If he's just going to hit a home run every day, like, I don't know, man, he's on the Yankees and, hitting third or fourth or whatever, like 5K probably makes some sense. And same thing with Michael Busch. Like, I don't love the prices on a Ben Rice, on a Michael Busch, but they're also never owned. So it's like, it's this push pull, right? Of, I don't know, they just keep hitting and no one ever plays them. Yeah. So, I feel like those are pretty good tournament plays. They may turn back to dust, but that doesn't mean they can't hit a couple home runs before they, turn back into a pumpkin.
Yeah. Okay. Good note. Carter, I want your thoughts at first real quick though. Some people saying, hey, throw up the positional screen like we normally do. Our wonderful producer, TJ, who's working extremely hard behind the scenes, his computer froze. So he's currently unable. We're working on it.
Got it up on another computer and switched which lobby I was in StreamYard in, so we're all good now.
Nice. Good job, TJ. All right. See, I told you he's working extra hard. Carter, your thoughts at first base?
It's pretty flat. Olsen and Rice are the top two guys. I certainly like Rice if people aren't going to play him because he's 5K. But really, I don't think they're like so far above the other guys that you have to spend up on them. Like, you can just punt this position. You can play Jock Peterson for 2.6K is probably my favorite, or Vinny P for 3.2 or something like that. I think is totally fine.
Yeah. Okay. Take us to second base. You don't even have to say it because we all know it sucks.
It does. I mean, it does. It always does. Ketel Marte is your top guy. The matchup's not good enough where I really want to pay up for him, but I don't think his ownership will be crazy. So in tournaments, if you want to spend up, like, I think it would certainly make you different because there's really not much to spend up for at second base today. Luis Garcia is the guy that I think will probably be the most popular and is probably the best play here. He's 3.5K. He's a decent hitter. That's enough here. Like, that's enough.
Yeah.
You do have the Marcus Semien thing, who I know the previous show was talking about a lot. We've talked about him here a little bit. 2.9 for him is definitely appealing as a DraftKings price. I think he's going to turn it around, and I don't think he's done yet. So 2.9 for him is certainly fine.
I like how in most positions we're looking for a guy who's like got power and got the matchup and has the underlying statistics. And at second, we're just like, well, he doesn't suck that bad. Like, he's our guy. Eric, who's our guy here today at second who doesn't suck that bad?
I don't have one, but second base is, it's the new catcher. right? Like catcher is like, you probably need to play somebody that can hit a little bit. Second base is like, I don't know, whatever works, right? My stance today, I don't disagree with anything that Carty said, but at this ownership, like my stance is I'm not playing Marcus Semien. Like I just play anyone else because he just jumped, it's like the name, he just jumps off the screen projection wise. Like the name at 2,900 like is laughable, right? The guy sitting building, laying on his couch or using the restroom, right? It's like, oh my God, Marcus Semien is 2,900. Like they'll play him as a one-off, right? They're scrolling through second base. Like, I mean, listen to the names: Michael Massey, Ronnie Simon, Jared Triolo, Christian Cross, like Tim and the corpse of Tim Anderson at second base, right? Like then the position is so bad that I just don't really want to play the also probably bad, really, really chalky guy. So somebody mentioned that we didn't shout out the Marlins at catcher and first base, which is like funny because it's like that's the first time I've ever heard someone say, I can't believe you didn't mention any Marlins.
Especially as you said, you might play some of them.
But I like the Marlins. I think those comments were fine about catcher and second base, but the Marlins are a spot where like, look, I don't know a goddamn thing about Ronnie Simon. Okay. Not my area of expertise, but I can pull up a FanGraphs page just like everybody else can. And I see like minor league production that is like fantasy interesting. I don't think I see production that is like good baseball player. He's also 5'8", 150. So that's really funny. Like, yeah, this is a
little Altuve
is small.
Yeah, it is.
But
just like Roth.
Yeah.
Did he say
Roth. Not like Roth.
Did he say like 612 hundo, bud?
Yeah.
Get your weight up. Get your weight up.
Flexing on TJ. I'm enjoying the beef back and forth all season, but like there's double digit home. There's 20 home run seasons in the minor leagues with 34 stolen bases. It's like, I don't know, man. Colin Ray is going to be chalky and this position's terrible. This guy could maybe hit a home run and steal a base. Like, sure. Like that's kind of how I feel about it. So he is 5'8" is average, they say in the chat, which is I won't make any more jokes about that. But I wanted to use him to call out the Marlins because I think that's a way we can get some punt plays that's totally no ownership.
Sure, I like it. Okay, take me to third base.
Let's see here. Third base is a little bit better, but I don't love third base so much today. Austin Riley seems to be the guy every single slate where we're just like, yeah, it's kind of Austin Riley at the top at third base. I do like him. I am a Josh Young fan, and he's had like a couple of decent games, but I'm not sure that he necessarily, should generate a ton of ownership. But it's the same thing with all the Rangers, where it's like, well, he's 3,400 on DraftKings, right? Like he projects fine, like at the third base position. But it's when you give me this another Ranger at 3,400, right? Why are they going to be so popular? They're all so cheap in this spot. So that both like is exciting and gives me pause that it's like, I'm just playing this guy because like his projection is fine. It's like, I don't love playing these guys that are just fine. I'm a fan of his. So he's one of my favorite Rangers, but the ownership is a little bit, as you see on your screen, 9% optimal percentage with a 13% ownership percentage is less than ideal. But I also don't love this position. Matt Chapman like always kind of pops off the board for me when he's not popular and there's not a lot of third basemen that I like. I'm not afraid of Merrill Kelly. And then Manny Machado is one of my favorite tournament plays, like probably of the slate. I'm generally a Kikuchi fan, but he has also not been great. And Machado, platoon advantage, totally unowned. Nobody's going to pay $5,500 for Manny Machado on this slate. And so I'm looking for those kind of players.
Yeah. Okay. Carty, your thoughts there at third base, please.
Pretty similar. Like I like the Machado call a lot. I don't think he's going to be nearly as owned as he probably should be here. I like Austin Riley as the best guy. I think Matt Chapman is always great for home run upside. He's hitting second tonight, which is nice too. Josh Young, fine for me, but if he's going to be that owned, I'm probably not on him. I don't think he's like that much better than some of the other guys in this price range. India, McMahon, Brian Hayes. I'm not going to say him, but
I love how you look at a guy and you're like, maybe no, can't do it.
But yeah, like I think you're probably spending up on one of those top guys, Riley, Chapman, Machado, or down in like that 3K area. And I don't think it has to be Young if you're in that 3K area.
Yeah. Okay. How about shortstop, Carty?
Shortstop is nice because we have Bobby Witt Jr. and he's really good at baseball. Yeah. He's expensive. He's going to be the highest owned shortstop, but from a pure like optimal value perspective, like he's your top guy here by a lot. He's a priority. You want him. The reason you don't play him in tournaments is because he's chalky and he doesn't fit your build. If you're not playing him in tournaments, I think you're looking at guys like CJ Abrams. Jeremy Pena is very reasonably priced leading off against Michael Wacha. Willie Adames got moved down in the order, but you can always hunt for home runs with him, and the price is reasonable enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Erik, short.
Yeah. If I can't get Witt, I like spending down a little bit more. Like when you just start, I like a lot of expensive hitters. I mean, I mentioned Carson freaking Kelly, for Lord's sake. I probably got to save somewhere, right? So if it's not Bobby Witt, I think Jeremy Pena is probably my favorite overall shortstop. If I can get, I really, really like the Cubs. I'm just going to keep playing the Cubs. I know the weather is not great, but also Cal Quantrill is not great. Yeah. So yeah. And the nice thing about the Cubs is they steal a ton of bases. So it's not
they
just
play
power.
In these bad weather games. They've put together some small ball, like singles, doubles, steals type games, and have put up significant runs doing it. So we've certainly seen them get it done before in these spots.
So if I can get Dansby, I do like Dansby as well. And then somebody in the chat mentioned John Birdie. I know he's not a shortstop, but at second or third base, like John Birdie is right. He's not going to hit a home run anyway.
He was the guy I was reluctant to say.
Oh, okay. There you go.
The weather doesn't matter because he doesn't hit the ball that far anyway. So just get on base and steal, right? Steal second and steal third. And John Birdie did his job. Like that's all you're really hoping for from him. So I did just want to point him out in not just in Cub stacks, but particularly nice in Cub stacks.
Yeah, very good. All right, take me to the outfield.
This is also where the Cubs get fun. I mean, I don't know if he's going to be the highest owned outfielder. I wouldn't be shocked. I think we have Judge as the highest owned outfielder, and that is certainly understandable. I mean, it's Aaron Judge against Emerson Hancock, but Pete Crow Armstrong is like checks every box of both an awesome play and also like a very popular play. Where hitting leadoff now, big time prospect, having an insane season, right? Platoon advantage against the best pitcher or the worst pitcher on the slate. But I want to play him, so I want to try to find some ways to play PCA, to play Aaron Judge, to play Kyle Tucker. Like I kind of just agree with the most owned guys in the outfield are awesome. Like they're all pretty awesome. If I want to get some Evan Carter, another Ranger who's cheap, right? 3,500. So you sense this theme of the Rangers constantly coming up as value. I think that they're good, but that's where like I don't want to play the same Rangers shot right now. If I'm going to play like Crow Armstrong and like Witt, Olsen, whatever, I don't then want to play the same punt guys to get them. It's like I'm like 2v2ing with thousands of teams in my lineup. So this is where somebody mentioned the Marlins earlier. I like some Marlins. Jesus Sanchez is one of my. I should have checked. He's in the lineup, correct? I haven't looked.
He's hitting second tonight.
Okay, yeah. So like Jesus Sanchez, platoon advantage, hitting second against Colin Ray, who's also going to be popular. He provides me with some savings, right? Instead of playing Evan Carter, I can play this 2% owned guy who's like not that different of a play, maybe give me a little bit of leverage and also give me the savings. Those kind of guys are some of the value options I'm looking to because I really, really like, right? Like the Yankees and the Cubs and the Braves and all that, the more chalky options that are also more expensive.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, Carter, your favorites there in the outfield.
A lot of the same. Like the high end guys are good tonight. Judge, even Kyle Tucker. I don't mind in that game. But Pete Crow Armstrong looks great. Evan Carter is going to be, I think, the most popular kind of mid-range guy, like Erik mentioned. I like him for cash. I can see fading for tournaments for sure. It's not like he's amazing by any means. I like the Jesus Sanchez call a lot. I like Trent Grisham. I like James Wood. Michael Harris, either as a one-off or in your Brave stacks, I like quite a bit. Alex Verdugo in the same lineup, I think is solid. Yeah, that's outfield.
What's up with Verdugo hitting leadoff?
I
What's up with Verdugo?
don't know. Like, I don't understand.
Am I missing something? Does he have like incriminating pictures of like the Braves manager or something?
You kind of have to think so, right? Like,
what are we doing? They have so many good hitters, and they hit.
It's like their lineup is being. It's like their lineup's being constructed by MLB The Show, where it doesn't actually matter who their best hitters are. They're going to take whoever the highest contact rate or whoever the highest speed rate guy is.
Yeah, he doesn't strike
just
out.
put them batting first instead of actually getting your best hitters as many at bats as possible.
Crazy.
yeah, it's not very logical.
Okay. So we'll talk to him. We'll send an email. Hey, do you guys think about some home run calls here for just a moment? The people want some bomb calls, and I want to give the people the best deal in the industry. MLB DFS annual option, 425 schmackaroos. But we're dropping the price of our Combo Pro product to match the MLB annual package. So you get all the sports for $425 instead of just one of the sports. And if you do it 6 months instead of month by month by month, you're saving 35%, which is a huge amount. So I recommend you do that. Go for it. You sign up now. MLB projections, NBA content, PGA data, and more. Hockey, I don't know. There's a lot of sports. There's a lot of them. We got a lot of them. Even like video game content. We even do that, I think. Right, Eric? We do that. That's a thing.
We did, at least. I actually don't even know if we do.
Probably a thing.
I just remember degenning a lot of League of Legends lineups during the pandemic.
During COVID. Yeah.
I didn't know what I was watching. Like, I didn't have this, but buddy, we spent thousands of dollars on it.
League of Legends and KBO, just hundreds of dollars every day, middle of the night.
Staying up and refreshing Twitter to try to get KBO lineups at 3 a.m. or whatever. Like, those were dark times. Like,
weather forecasting for KBO, like as if I have any idea what's happening in freaking Busan. Like, that was
the Outlaw Golf Tour, which I had never heard of before. Right, was the only tour that would still go and play, and they didn't have live scoring. These are not pros. These guys are like insurance salesmen who go out on the weekends and play golf. And we're like playing for thousands of dollars DFS on them because we're, we are what we are. But I was, oh man, that was a tough scene.
It was. Those were dark days. All right. Let's do some home run calls. How about that? No, you know what? I got one more COVID story. I was giving weather forecasts for Madden Sims. People were betting. People were betting Madden Sims, and they would DraftKings would have me on to talk about how the wind would impact the quarterback's play in a freaking Madden Sim.
That's amazing.
That's how desperate we were. Man, those are tough days.
I was definitely betting on. I was more into the NBA 2K world. My buddies and I would bet on the games. Right, so we wouldn't play DFS lineups, but we would bet on people streaming.
Okay,
people they wouldn't play. They would let the computer play out, and we would watch it and bet on the of the games.
Why didn't you just sim them yourself? You didn't have to watch.
I don't know, Roth. I don't know. It didn't make sense. We had lost our minds.
Yeah, we did indeed. All right. Let's see. All right. We're I don't know, 10 minutes to lock, something like that. Carty, let's give the people some home run calls. I'm interested in, as always, your favorites, your thoughts, but also what the bat thinks the very best bet of the day is for a ball.
Yeah. So overall, Aaron Judge projects as the top guy. Trent Grisham projects surprisingly well. And as kind of a off the board, no one's going to play him. Michael Toglia, I think, is really appealing. You get some leverage off of that Tyler Malley stuff. The guy has power. No one's going to play him. So I like that.
Okay.
And then in terms of betting,
please.
Our very top home run bet of the night is Kansas City Royals number 9 hitter Kyle Isbell. Plus 1,300.
Plus 1,300. Hey, you only need it 1 out of 13, maybe. Is that right? Something like that.
He's been showing his value all year, and he's hit 2 home runs in the last week, and it's just
yeah, we got it. We got him. Eric, you got a few home run calls for me?
Yeah, my favorite, just like the scores and odds is showing a little value on this, but I don't really generally love this short of odds anyway. But Matt Olson would be my like, if gun to your head, you have we're going to kill you unless this guy hits a home run. It would be Matt Olson for me tonight. But I also really like Michael Busch, so maybe that's a FanDuel thing because you can't play them both on DraftKings. Really like Michael Busch. And then my actual favorite bet plus DFS play plus just like home run call, I mentioned him before in the outfield, Jesus Sanchez. I think he's just an actual good value, like across the board. DFS betting, everything. I love the spot and I love the prices.
Okay, good stuff, guys.
I just want to be clear with Kyle Isbell too. Don't play him in DFS. It's purely just the odds being offered.
It's a nerdy math thing that Carty's doing.
Yeah, right. He projects for a 9% chance of a home run, which is actually like not terrible, but you're not really excited about that.
Yeah. All right. I want to make sure we're getting the thumbs up. That's what I want to make sure. It's free content. I don't know if you realize, but you paid $0 for this content, and it's pretty damn good. So all you got to do is hit that thumbs up for us. And that's it. Then we get more eyeballs and we can keep the show free. Negative Creep says, Roth, dolphins are whales. Did you know that killer whales are not whales? They're actually dolphins. Killer whales are dolphins.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Even though they're called orca whales, they're not actually whales.
Yeah. A killer whale is a dolphin. It's a type of dolphin, which, by the way, dolphins and whales are very similar and very closely related. TJ?
A peanut is not a nut.
You sure about that?
Positive.
Is it a legume?
Is it? Yeah, it's a legume.
It's
a
legume. Yeah. Intriguing. All right, we're learning things here. All right, let's answer some questions. That's it. We actually have 13 minutes until lock because baseball, you never know. There's 5 after, 7 after, 10 after, 15 after. You never know when they decide to do it. Here comes some of the QQs. Brink. Earlier, you were describing the Marlins offense, Eric, and you punchy, interesting, and Brink says scrappy.
I'm not sure how scrappy they truly are. I don't think these guys are first in, last out, show up with their lunch pail kind of guys, and that's what I think. I'm not trying to knock them, but with all due respect, I just don't think that they have earned the scrappy
yet.
Maybe they will be scrappy, but punchy. Like punchy is a little different than scrappy. You got to earn scrappy.
Okay,
right? You basically have to be a slot receiver in the NFL, you know, or a white running back or something.
That's right. High effort guy.
Yeah,
sneaky athleticism. Who was your SP2 in DK Cash?
Coach's son kind of guy.
Coach, yeah. Carty, who is your SP2 in DK Cash?
I think you're just playing schemes. I don't think you get too weird with it.
But he's your okay. So it was what King?
Michael King is like your top guy.
Very good. Can I, Carty, stack the Red Sox in a FanDuel GPP? By the way, these questions coming into the RotoGrinders Discord, where the cool kids hang out and where I answer questions first. Then I'll be in the YouTube.
Yeah, you definitely can. Red Sox stack projects pretty well. I think that game has
already started.
Yeah, I hope.
Hold on. I'll answer it once I look up if they've scored yet.
Yeah. Have they hit any home runs yet?
Nope. Tigers have 2-0 Tigers. Stack the Tigers on FanDuel.
Yeah. DKGPP, Eric, you want Waka or Schmidt?
Schmidt for me.
Okay. Tom again says DK Cash pitchers King and who, and we just kind of decided to just go with Skeens on that one. Now into the YouTube, where I'm sure everybody's hitting us with that thumbs up already. Are these real people? Andrew Martinez has 2 names. I don't know who these dudes are. Carty, Eli White or Evan Carter on DK. Those are real people?
They're real people.
Okay.
Evan Carter is the better play. He'll also be significantly more popular. So do with that what you will.
Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to scroll up a little bit. Here we go. DK Stack. Eric, what do you think about the Astros? They project pretty well.
I don't hate it. Yeah, what was that?
What on earth is that a ringtone of yours, Carty?
That was my phone. You know I have Super Mario ringtones.
I know,
but that's tone for everything. So I know right away, okay, this is this.
But I'm trying to locate what that was in Super Mario. What noise was that?
That is when I believe TJ's going to say it.
The little feather thing falls, and then you have like the tail and the cape, and you can fly.
Okay.
No, that's Super Mario. No, that's Mario 3. This is from Super Mario World, but it is the
yeah,
feather coming down.
not the tail, the cape. The
No
cape.
tail,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
it's a cape.
Okay. All right. I'm glad we distinguish between that. I don't even know
Yeah,
what the
what
question
would we
was.
ever do if we didn't know the difference between this?
Does anyone remember what the question was? Was there even a question, or were we just all distracted?
No, now I'm so fascinated by this, having different Super Mario ringtones for the different things. On one hand, I like it. On the other hand, that is like such a spreadsheet bro thing to do. Like I have to have the ringtone that correlates to exactly. So I know,
Of course,
that's,
but it's
I
about
love it.
efficiency.
It
And
is
it's cool.
super. This is very efficient. Yes.
Right. He knew. He's like, oh, I can ignore that.
I
Oh,
can
that's
ignore that one. The
Tanuki
feather's
Super
not
Mario.
important
I
when
don't
I'm on
need
the
that.
show.
Yeah. Let's see. Anybody like the Mets verse schemes today? Peter says that's interesting. Eric, you did have at least some reservations about schemes, saying maybe the guy's not matchup proof at high price, at high ownership, in a bad matchup. So any interest going the other way and playing Mets?
I just think there's too many like really strong offenses to go that way, because the Mets are also not like super cheap, right?
Yeah.
So you got to fade a lot of really good offenses to get to the Mets, I think.
Okay. Cardi, DK cash question from Jorge Mateo: Abrams, Riley, or Whit Young? Sorry.
Abrams, Riley, Witt. It's really hard to fade Witt. That's probably Whit Young is going to be a lot more popular, I think. So it depends on kind of your format and everything. I think they're the better side just because of Witt. But if you need to reduce your ownership, the other side is definitely viable.
Okay, we heard another Super Mario noise there.
He looked at that one, I think. So
yeah, that was an important one. He knew that
it's like the
feather
family.
we could
That's
ignore.
like the family. Yeah, that's like family.
No, that was, I think he gets a 1-up. That one's
that was 1-up noise. Yeah.
nothing important. Yeah.
Let's see. Your best SP2 in a tournament. Who's your favorite SP2 in a tournament? Let's say you're going king. Who would be your favorite SP2 for a tournament? And I'll let you both answer. Cardi?
Like I said, there's like 5 guys that are all kind of the same. I think Kikuchi is maybe the one that I like the most based on ownership and price, but there's like 5 guys in that range that are all like the same.
Yeah. Okay. Eric, you got a favorite SP2 in a DK GPP?
I'm cheating. Well, I'll answer it with who I'm playing, which is maybe not necessarily indicative of the correct answer here. Do as I say, not as I do type situation.
Fair, yeah.
I'm playing Molly. But I'm actually not sure if like from a pure dude, it's the Rocky. Like we just play guys against the Rockies, right? That's what it is. I'm addicted to it. But I kind of think Grant Holmes might be the right answer to the question to get a little cheaper, right? Molly is like $2,000 more expensive.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Let's see. Thoughts on Ray? I think we kind of shat on Colin Ray a little bit. Is that accurate, Eric?
Or I did. I
yeah.
prefer Marlins bats to Colin Ray.
Okay. Jerry says FanDuel cash 2,900 on the util. Eric, he's making you work for this one. 2,900 FanDuel cash util.
I don't have FanDuel up, so I'm going to drag my feet as I pull that up. 2,900.
I'll hit Cardi up with a question real fast. Go. DKGPP, Cardi, Irvin, Holmes, or Ray?
Give me Irvin. Give me Holmes.
Okay.
Matt Chapman.
2,900 FanDuel cash. Very good.
My Bush is also 2,900, so I know I'm making it very difficult, but those are 2 of my like actual favorite plays. So one of those.
Okay. Cardi Malayala, nice name, says DKGPP, Swanson or Adames? Who do you prefer?
Adames.
Cardi, Andrew says, is Dollinger in play if the Rangers are going to be chalk?
Yeah, absolutely. He's 6K. He's going to come in very low owned. He's one of the, the bet has him as the 3rd highest point per dollar guy on the slate. So, and it's not like a slate where we have a ton of pitching where you don't need a guy like that. You can definitely play Dollinger.
Okay. Guys, we are about 4 minutes into lock. Dean suggests we have to power rank Mario games, which I'm on board. The first time I played Mario 64, and it was the first time ever you had like open world control. You remember you could run in all directions.
I mean, Mario 64 is clearly the top.
Yes.
Or Super Mario World. It's very close.
Super
It
Mario
like revolutionized It
64,
revolutionized.
as great as it is, I'd have it third.
Yeah, I mean,
And
Mario
about
World, Super Mario Bros. 3, and then Super Mario 64.
did
I'm
anybody
with
play
that, but
Super Mario 2, or maybe not Super Mario? It's just like Mario 2. It was the second one. It's the one where you were like digging shit up constantly. You were in
yeah, that was a good
Oh
one.
yeah.
Yeah. So have you realized that's not like any of the other Marios in any way, shape, or form?
I never
Right.
thought about that, but yes.
I just Googled why, and I
I was
figured
about to.
Yeah.
I was about to. So because Mario was such a hit that they wanted to come out with another one, there was another game that was already being made, which is really kind of wildly different. But they were like, screw it. Let's just change the character faces into
No way.
Mario, and we'll call this Super Mario 2. So we'll get a bunch of sales. So they took this game that was already made that was popular, TJ.
And it was after they had already released a different Super Mario 2 in Japan, and everyone was like, "This is the exact same game except it's harder. What the hell?"
Yeah.
So they made a brand new Super Mario 2 sequel and said, "Screw the first one. Here's a new one instead."
Yeah, and they just literally put Mario characters into a game that was not at all Mario based, which is why the game style is so very different.
That's
That's
pretty
amazing.
amazing.
This is like when
I
they
know.
rush out, a movie is a hit, and the second one is always awful when they rush it out like the next year. One of
Yeah.
my sneaky, I will fully admit it's lame and nerdy, but Pitch Perfect, the original Pitch Perfect,
Yeah.
is just like absolutely incredible.
It's
Oh,
really
yeah.
good.
Pitch Perfect 2,
Yeah.
Pitch Perfect 2 might be the single worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life.
Mm.
It's so bad.
It's 100 times better than Pitch Perfect 3.
Yeah, that's
Is it-
true. But at
never
least
made
Pitch
it that
Perfect
far.
3, they like changed the storyline to where it's not. They didn't literally wash, rinse, repeat situation. So anyway,
Pitch Perfect has the really cute redhead chick, right? And Anna Kendrick? Yeah.
I love it.
And Becca Snow, so like all of them.
Yeah, all
Brittany
of them.
Snow, sorry. Brittany Snow, another very
Yeah.
attractive.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's see what else we're doing here. Any other questions that are not video game related?
Video
Nope.
game and movies.
Yeah,
Welcome to RotoGrinders.com.
mostly just chatting video game. Pena or Adamas? There you go. We got a real question here. Eric, Pena or Adamas?
Pena for me.
Okay. Let's see if we got anything in the Discord. We do indeed. Blink 182 says DK GPP, large field Carty, Holmes and Simeon, or Dollander and Mikhail Garcia.
Give me Dollander and Garcia.
Let's see, Verdugo or Jesus, DK Cash. Who's Jesus?
That's Jesus Sanchez.
Jesus
Okay.
Sanchez, slam dunk. Jesus Sanchez over Verdugo.
Nobody
Also
messes with
Jesus.
Jesus.
Also
Yeah.
Jesus over Verdugo.
Mantle or Griffey Jr. But it's, this is,
It's got to be Griffey.
It's
I don't know if
easily
I'm just
Griffey.
biased because I've seen Griffey, but if I feel like if I go into the advanced stats, it's got to be Griffey.
Also, one of my dogs is named Griffey. He's my favorite baseball player of all time.
nice.
So slight bias, but like he like transcended a generation. Like the
was so
backwards hat,
cool.
the
He was
coolest
the
batting
coolest
stance.
guy. His swing was so
Unbelievable.
smooth and just he would hit the home run and the bat where he would just like kind of play. Oh, it
Dropped
was
it.
just
He would just
the
drop
way
it.
he would
Yep.
drop it. Oh God, he was cool. I didn't like baseball nor baseball players, but I was just like, that dude is freaking cool.
As a mediocre white kid from St. Louis, like Ken Griffey, made you feel like you could be cool too.
Yeah, exactly.
You weren't.
I just need to do what that
Not
guy
that-
does. Put my hat backwards. Yeah.
Not that level of player yet, but that's how I feel about Ellie Dela Cruz. Everything he does just looks so
So
damn cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just the fact that he's like a 6'5" baseball player too, and is still fast as all hell. Like
Yeah.
he looks like he's supposed to be in the NBA, but picked baseball instead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
throws the ball 110 miles an hour from shortstop. Yeah, he's very cool.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome. Let's see. All right, final question from Butthole Jenkins, and it is a very important one as we're coming up on lock. Soft pretzels with beer cheese or mozzarella sticks with marinara? Soft pretzels with beer cheese or mozzarella sticks with marinara? I am still conflicted. I'm going to let the guys answer first because I don't know yet. Carty?
Yes, is the answer.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Sign him up. We're in. Eric, you got a preference here?
Nah, this is choosing between two children, but
Yes.
I think I would go soft pretzel with the cheese.
Good hot soft pretzel is pretty. I mean, I think
I'm old. The marinara can get you a little bit of like acid reflux or something going that you don't have to deal with that with the pretzel.
It can get you a little bit, and massive choking hazard, by the way, mozzarella sticks, especially for like kids. Even as like a tween, you probably at one point ate a mozzarella stick and had that cheese like somehow like all the way down your esophagus, but also still in your mouth. And you're like, what the hell's going on?
Yep.
Yeah. So, all right, give me the pretzel so that we don't choke and die. That's it. Guess what? We hit lock and we surpass lock, and we're going to bounce on out of here. We're going to go eat some food, maybe some mozzarella sticks, maybe some soft pretzels for Beimfohr and for Carty and for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, make sure you hit us with the thumbs up on your way out. We appreciate you. We love you, and we will catch you tomorrow. You have